Hey everyone, we've updated our channel name from Chinese Novel Audiobook to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Nothing else will be changing, we're still uploading a new video every day, bringing you the best Chinese novel audiobooks. Let's dive into today's story. Chapter 61, Who Says the Xu Family Has No Leader? Xu Yining was taken aback. He didn't understand what Jiang Fan meant. Staring at the slightly blood-stained bundle, he couldn't help but laugh. You can't be saying that this contains the head of the subaltern master, can you? Ha ha ha. He had seen with his own eyes as the number one shadow guard beheaded the subaltern master. Unless Jiang Fan was the number one shadow guard. Otherwise, where would the head come from? Jiang Fan leisurely sat down, picked up a bowl of tea, and remained expressionless. The implication was, couldn't he see for himself? Xu Yining's smile deepened, laughing heartily. All right, since you won't cry until you see the coffin, let me do you a favor. Come, let's take a look at that head. Let's see what kind of head young Master Jiang has prepared to fool us. Could it be made of mud? Ha ha ha. His followers couldn't help but burst into laughter. A confidant immediately stepped forward, unwrapped the bundle, and exclaimed in shock, Young Master, it's really a human head. Xu Yining still laughed. Not bad, at least you used a real human head. But do you think this will deceive us? Unfortunately, I have fought with the subaltern master before, I recognize his face. Upon hearing this, the Xu family members' hearts sank. They also thought Jiang Fan was trying to muddle through today's matter. But they didn't expect Xu Yining to be so formidable, having personally fought the subaltern master. Now they were done for. Not only had they failed to deceive, but they also faced the crime of deceiving the Green Cloud sect. The charges would only be more severe. In a good mood, Xu Yining grabbed the head by its hair and lifted it up playfully. Let me take a look, is this the subaltern master's head? If not, you would face even more severe punishment. However, when the swaying head steadied, revealing itself to Xu Yining, that ferocious, savage face, with eyes that couldn't rest in death, terrified Xu Yining to the core. In his mind, he immediately recalled the other man's ravenous look during their duel. Ah! He screamed in fright and tossed the head away. The sudden action stunned everyone, both the Xu family members and Xu Yining's followers. What happened? Hadn't he seen a head before? Why was he so scared? Jiang Fan calmly sipped his tea, casually picked up a pen, and wrote with a faint smile. Looks like young Master Xu recognizes it. Xu Yining, still traumatized. He looked incredulously at the head again, and no matter how he looked, he could confirm at a glance that it was indeed the subaltern master's head. Looking at Jiang Fan's sarcastic words, his face showed anger, and he said, This is impossible. I saw with my own eyes that the head was cut off by the number one shadow guard. Why is it in your hands? Everyone was astonished. The head was actually real. Stay connected through novel bin. Calm. But since it was killed by the number one shadow guard, how did the head end up in Jiang Fan's hands? Jiang Fan smiled slightly, raised a pen, and wrote, That's none of your concern. The task you gave to the Xu family was merely to bring the subaltern master's head. How they acquired it is none of your business. Upon hearing this, the Xu family members were suddenly revitalized. Xu Yining said joyfully, Yes. As long as the task is completed. The Green Cloud sect has always been this way regarding task assignments, they only care about the result, not the process. Even if we hired the number one shadow guard, you have no right to ask. Release my family members immediately, or I will report you to the Green Cloud sect. Xu Yining's followers, feeling guilty, immediately released the Xu family members, not daring to trouble them further. It was indeed the case in the past. Some tasks were extremely difficult, and the families burdened with such tasks had to spend a fortune to hire experts for assistance. The Green Cloud sect never expressed any objections to this practice. It was considered an unspoken rule. However, Xu Yining couldn't accept it. He had tried so many times, yet still couldn't handle the small Xu family. Who told you to release them? Xu Yining raised his hand and slapped a follower, sending him flying. His eyes turned slightly red with rage as he glared at Jiang Fan. I don't care about the rules of the Green Cloud sect. My rules are the rules. I want the head that the Xu family personally obtained. I won't accept any other. Seize the Xu family members. Anyone who resists will be killed without mercy. The Xu family was both furious and terrified. Xu Zhengyan shouted, Zhu Jianshan. You are outrageous. He never expected Zhu Jianshan to be so audacious, disregarding even the rules of the Green Cloud sect. Zhu Jianshan kicked the stool he was sitting on. His hair bristled with anger, and he shouted, so what if I am outrageous? This is Lonely Boat City, and my words are the law. Even the King of Heaven himself couldn't change that. With that, he took a step forward and struck fiercely at Xu Zhengyan. Xu Zhengyan was furious and couldn't hold back any longer, engaging in a fight with him. But Zhu Jianshan, as a disciple of the Green Cloud sect, had the upper hand, while Xu Zhengyan was still injured. After just 3 moves, Xu Zhengyan was sent flying several meters away, spitting blood. Zhu Jianshan surveyed everyone with a murderous look. Who else wants to resist? Step forward. The Xu family members were scared stiff. Even Xu Zhengyan, the strongest among them, had been injured. What chance did they have? Without hesitation, the followers pounced on the Xu family members like wolves. Suddenly, a follower who rushed towards Xu Yining fell back with the sound of bones breaking, screaming in pain. Zhu Jianshan turned his head to see. He found that Jiang Fan had intervened, yet he didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled, revealing a vicious grin. Good. Very good. Openly defying the Green Cloud sect's order. Today, I, Zhu Jianshan, will enforce the sect's rules and sentence you to death. He couldn't wait for Jiang Fan to make a move. Only then could he kill him with legitimacy. Jiang Fan put down his teacup, stood up, and looked at him coldly, casually writing on a piece of paper. You. Zhu Jianshan laughed in anger. When did a worthless person like you dare to question a Green Cloud sect disciple like me? Fine, today I'll show you the might of Zhu Jianshan. With that, his fist, wrapped in a fierce wind, struck out forcefully. Xu Zhengyan watched in alarm, shouting, Fan, run quickly. Xu Yining's face turned pale as she cried out, don't try to be brave, get out of the way. A strike from a Foundation establishment realm expert, how could Jiang Fan withstand it? Zhu Jianshan sneered, think you can run? Too late. You were foolish to challenge me, Zhu Jianshan. Die. Jiang Fan stood still. He didn't move a muscle. Only when Zhu Jianshan's fist was 3 inches from his chest. Jiang Fan raised his palm at a leisurely pace, catching the fist effortlessly. Zhu Jianshan smirked inwardly. Such inexperience. To catch a fist with a palm, expecting not to break fingers. He smiled viciously and suddenly exerted force, intending to make Jiang Fan feel the pain of broken fingers. However, the next moment, his smile vanished. A stream of pure spiritual power surged from Jiang Fan's palm, flooding into his fingers. As Jiang Fan's fingers clenched like iron, they gripped his fist tightly. He couldn't muster any strength. At the same time, Jiang Fan finally looked him in the eye, his gaze cold and detached. As if saying, surprised, aren't you? Chapter 62, Cleaning the House. Zhu Jianshan tried to pull back his fist. But to his surprise, he found that his fist, belonging to a Foundation establishment martial artist, was easily gripped by Jiang Fan. What's going on with you? He started to panic, only now remembering that he had another fist available, which he swung at Jiang Fan. But it was too late. Jiang Fan exerted force with his arm, causing Zhu Jianshan to lurch forward. Then he delivered a powerful knee strike to Zhu Jianshan's abdomen. Blurg. In an instant, Zhu Jianshan curled up like a shrimp, retching uncontrollably from the pain. He was enraged. As a disciple of the Qingyan sect, how could he be easily trounced by someone who was once considered trash? Enough! He roared, releasing a surge of Foundation establishment spiritual power, star-breaking finger. He even used his cultivation technique. And it was a yellow-level mid-tier technique. Jiang Fan remained calm and collected, even leisurely writing a note, incompetent fury. After speaking, he casually used his movement technique and, with unexpected speed, closed in on Zhu Jianshan. He slapped Zhu Jianshan across the face. Zhu Jianshan couldn't believe that even after using his movement technique at his peak state, he was still slapped. The stinging pain fueled his anger. Seething with rage, he screamed, I'll kill you. Smack. He was met with another resounding slap. Fuming, Zhu Jianshan yelled, you must die, you have to die today. Smack. It was yet another slap. No matter how Xu Jianshan deployed his powers with pride, the outcome was always another slap, casually delivered. Ah. Jiang Fan. Smack. I'll fight you to the death. Smack. I will kill your entire. Smack. I will. Smack. The entire Xu family was dumbfounded. They stared in shock at the bizarre scene unraveling before them. All the retainers around were also frozen, as if they had seen a ghost, no longer daring to apprehend the Xu family members. In the reflections of their eyes, the once arrogant Xu Jianshan, a Qingyan sect disciple with foundation establishment cultivation, was getting slapped outside the main hall, step by step, by Jiang Fan. No matter how Xu Jianshan resisted, he was relentlessly slapped in return. In the end, his cheeks were a bloody mess, his nose bleeding profusely, his entire face unrecognizable. Xu Jianshan finally realized he was no match for Jiang Fan. He gritted his teeth and ran away with a look of hatred in his eyes. Before leaving the main gate, he glared venomously at Jiang Fan. Fine. Jiang Fan, you wait for me. One of us has to die. Just wait for the Xu family's thunderous wrath. Jiang Fan's eyes flashed coldly. Stay tuned for updates on novel.com. With a swift step, he leapt to pursue. Leaving the Xu family, he used his full movement technique with no reservations, and soon, he cornered the menacing Xu Jianshan in a secluded street. Xu Jianshan muttered incessantly, I will kill that guy, I'll kill him. All his life, he had never suffered such humiliation. But then, a clear voice came from behind. You're not getting the chance. Jiang Fan had caught up, speaking with an indifferent expression. Xu Jianshan turned his head and saw it was Jiang Fan. Realizing something was wrong, he exclaimed in shock, you're not mute. With a cold face, Jiang Fan drew his wooden sword, pointing it at him from afar. Since one of us must die, then you go ahead and die. Seeing the wooden sword, Xu Jianshan's face changed dramatically. Isn't that the number 1 Shadow Guard's sword? Why is it with you? Suddenly, a terrifying thought surfaced in his mind. He shivered, stammering, You are the number 1 Shadow Guard. But how could this be? One was a widely known former waste. The other was a prodigious warrior of Lonely Boat City, who could slay a Foundation Establishment 2nd layer martial artist as a Qi cultivation 9th layer genius. The two were worlds apart. How could they be the same person? Jiang Fan said coldly, Congratulations, you guessed it. He slowly took out a mask and put it on. The number 1, representing invincibility, made Xu Jianshan gasp. Shaking in fear, he said, You really are number 1 Shadow Guard. Impossible, this can't be. Unable to accept it. How could the waste he once looked down upon be the number 1 Shadow Guard he could never surpass? Jiang Fan's voice grew colder. From the moment you first laid eyes on Xu Yining with ill intent, you were destined to die. But you didn't know any limits, repeatedly challenging my bottom line. Now, no one can save you. With that, he flashed and leapt forward, unhesitatingly initiating his swordsmanship. Xu Jianshan's soul nearly fled from terror. Having witnessed the number 1 Shadow Guard's terrifying skills firsthand, he knew just how formidable his opponent was, and fled in terror. But it was no use. His back was exposed and full of flaws. And this time, he wasn't so lucky to find anyone to cover for him. Jiang Fan's sword struck down. However, at that moment, a bird dove down from the sky. Standing atop it was a woman dressed in purple, with an elegant and tall figure, stunningly beautiful. She frowned and said, Stay your hand. Seeing her, Xu Jianshan was overjoyed, as if a drowning man grabbing a lifeline. Senior Sister Lu, save me, this person is rebelling. Jiang Fan's pupils shrank slightly. This person was Lu Qingxian from the City Lord Mansion. She had even left a projection in the Dragon Rising path. She was also from the Qingyan sect. Could it be, she intended to protect Xu Jianshan? With this thought, he didn't stop. Instead, he accelerated his strike. Unexpectedly, Lu Qingxian shouted, How dare you! Stop immediately! The killing intent in Jiang Fan's chest deepened. With not a hint of hesitation, he resolutely executed 7 stars to the north. A chill of icy light pierced through Xu Jianshan's chest from top to bottom, skewering his heart. Xu Jianshan staggered forward a few steps due to inertia. With his heart destroyed, his body gradually lost strength and he collapsed to the ground. Gasping for breath, like a fish out of water, he called out in despair, "Senior Sister Lu, quick, save me." Lu Qingxian descended from the bird. She promptly inspected him. Finding that the sword had precisely pierced his heart, she knew he was beyond saving. Her eyes turned cold as she looked at Jiang Fan. "You have quite the audacity to dare kill a Qingyan sect disciple." Lu Qingxian exuded an overwhelming spiritual power. Xu Jianshan deserved to die. But he should have died under the Qingyan sect's rules, rather than being casually butchered by an outsider. The nature of the two situations was entirely different. Jiang Fan remained unafraid, coldly saying, "He deserved to die. I was merely cleaning the house for the Qingyan sect." Lu Qingxian's eyes narrowed coldly. "We don't need your interference. I would have dealt with him myself. You, merely relying on being older and having learned more for decades, dare to wantonly kill a Qingyan sect disciple. Considering your merit in killing the subaltern master, I'll overlook it this time. If there is a next time, you will be executed without mercy." "Older? Who is she talking about?" "Me." Jiang Fan rolled his eyes and retorted, "You're the old one." "Old woman." Lu Qingxian was taken aback. "You're quite funny. You're in your 30s or 40s, and you're calling me, someone in their 20s, an old woman. How absurd." At this moment, Xu Yining came running over, gasping, "Senior Sister Lu, Senior Sister Lu. Xu Jianshan. Senior Sister, did you execute him yourself?" It turned out Lu Qingxian was called by Xu Yining. After she explained the Xu family's situation, Lu Qingxian was furious and decisively came to deal with the cancerous Xu Jianshan. "It was him," Lu Qingxian gestured with her mouth. Xu Yining looked up and was surprised. "Number 1 Shadow Guard." She rushed over, eyes sparkling, introduced herself eagerly. "It's me, No 2 Shadow Guard, I'm Xu Yining." "Sir, what's your name? Can you tell me your real name?" Lu Qingxian showed a look of surprise. "You call him sir?" Xu Yining was puzzled by the question. "Aren't we of the same age? Is it wrong to call him sir?" "What? Same age?" Lu Qingxian looked at Jiang Fan in shock. "Isn't he a man in his 30s or 40s? Chapter 63, You are the prodigy I am looking for. Jiang Fan's forehead veins were bulging. What 18-year-old boy could tolerate being called an uncle? "You're the one who's an uncle, you old woman." Xu Yining realized that Lu Qingxian had misunderstood something. She explained, "Senior Sister Lu, our Shadow Guard team is composed of youth prodigies from Lonely Boat City. The oldest among us is no more than 18 years old." Hiss. Lu Qingxian took a breath of cold air and looked at Jiang Fan in disbelief. 18 years old, at the 9th layer of Qi cultivation, and he killed a foundation establishment 2nd layer alone. She couldn't even come close to that when she was his age. She and Chen Zhengdao had subconsciously thought that number 1 Shadow Guard was so formidable due to years of cultivation and extensive experience. But he was actually just 18. "Wait." Lu Qingxian suddenly shivered, her eyes burning. "Not long ago, was it you who defeated my, Chen Zhengdao's, and Yun Tianzhou's projections on the Dragon Rising path?" Jiang Fan said calmly. "So what if it was?" Lu Qingxian's heart pounded wildly. It was him. It really was him. The prodigy of the Dragon Rising path. She was ecstatic. "What you seek is already in front of you, requiring no effort to find. You really made me search hard for you." Seeing her alternating between shock and laughter, while muttering incomprehensible words, Jiang Fan couldn't help but feel uneasy. He glanced at Xu Jianshan to confirm he was completely dead. Then decisively walked away. "Wait. Don't go." Lu Qingxian hurriedly chased after him. Her pursuit only made Jiang Fan more anxious. He decisively executed solitary wild goose shadow to its extreme, jumping onto the rooftop and then flashing through the streets, disappearing without a trace. Lu Qingxian chased for a bit but couldn't catch up. She couldn't help but be surprised. "What's going on? With my cultivation, I couldn't catch up with him. Did he use a movement technique?" Movement techniques are extremely difficult to comprehend, and not many in the Green Cloud sect have succeeded. Could it be that his comprehension is extraordinary? Xu Yining curiously caught up and asked in astonishment, "Senior Sister Lu, why are you chasing him?" Lu Qingxian replied, "Deputy Pavilion Master Chen and I have been waiting for him to appear for almost half a month. His potential could directly elevate him to the heavenly mechanism pavilion, with future achievements not inferior to my father's. What? Xu Yining covered her red lips, her beautiful eyes filled with shock. She knew that number 1 shadow guard was extraordinarily talented. But hearing Lu Qingxian say it, she realized just how extraordinary he was. The daughter of the Green Cloud Sect Master and the Vice Pavilion Master of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion had been waiting for him to appear for half a month. An uncontrollable admiration surged within her. I must thoroughly investigate who number 1 shadow guard really is. Lu Qingxian's eyes gleamed. For such a prodigy, she was determined to obtain him. Xu Yining was also deeply curious about number 1 shadow guard's true identity. I will help senior sister investigate as well. Soon after, in the Zhu mansion, sounds of wailing were everywhere, and Zhang Yusho was crying her eyes out. Shen, my Shen, you died so tragically. Beside her squatted a young man she didn't know. Young Master Zhang, you must seek justice for my Shen. Zhang Yusho pleaded. You are an inner sect disciple of the Green Cloud sect, only you can seek justice for us. Just a moment ago, the City Lord Mansion's soldiers brought back Zhu Jianshan's body and conveyed the City Lord's message. Zhu Jianshan deserved to die, and the matter was resolved. But Zhang Yusho couldn't just let it go after her son died inexplicably. It just so happened that the inner sect disciple Zhang Qizhan, who had always protected Zhu Jianshan, came to retrieve the fire spirit pearl. Zhang Qizhan, meticulous as ever, inspected Zhu Jianshan's body with a solemn expression. This person's swordsmanship is extremely advanced, swift and precise, killing with one strike. It seems junior brother Zhu provoked a formidable opponent. Then he noticed something. Zhu Jianshan's sleeve had a line of words written in blood. Despite being crooked, upon close inspection, it was identifiable. Don't provoke, Jiang Fan. Who is Jiang Fan? Zhang Qizhan asked. Zhang Yusho quickly looked over, perplexed. Jiang Fan. Xu family's son-in-law, a useless person. Why would Shen leave a message not to provoke him? She couldn't believe that Jiang Fan had killed her son. Zhang Qizhan's eyes flashed with cold light. It doesn't matter who he is. Since my junior brother mentioned his name before dying, he cannot be unrelated to junior brother's death. Coincidentally, I have to visit the Xu family to prepare for my master's arrival. I will interrogate this Jiang Fan. Your adventure continues at novel bin.com. As for the message, don't provoke Jiang Fan, Zhang Qizhan dismissed it entirely. He was an inner sect disciple of the Green Cloud sect. Zhu Jianshan was merely an outer sect disciple. The person Zhu Jianshan couldn't afford to offend, Zhang Qizhan could. Unaware that he had caught the attention of Zhang Qizhan. After dealing with the Xu family's major threat, Jiang Fan returned to his room calmly, eager to practice the dragon-seeking scripture. As soon as he started this mental method, he sensed its extraordinary nature. The speed of absorbing spiritual energy was more than 5 times faster than before. The spiritual energy within the Xu family's range surged towards him, continuously increasing the spiritual power in the spirit pond. However, in the foundation establishment realm, advancing in cultivation became much more difficult. Even with such a powerful mental method, a full day of cultivation only yielded a slight improvement. At this rate, it would be hard to break through to the second layer of foundation establishment within a month. Suddenly, he thought of the dragon rising path. It was said that performing well would yield rewards. Last time, he stopped at the 11th level. If he successfully challenged it again, would there be a reward? Filled with anticipation, he once again arrived at the dragon rising path, donned the number 1 shadow guard mask, and began the challenge. First layer, second layer, third layer. ... 8th layer, 9th layer, 10th layer. When he defeated Yun Tianzhou at the 10th layer, he looked relaxed. Last time, it took hundreds of exchanges. This time, he managed it in just 2 or 3 moves. He solemnly stepped into the 11th layer. The projection was a handsome young man with an elegant demeanor. Nangong Luyun, Foundation Establishment First Layer, please instruct me. The two quickly engaged in battle. Jiang Fan immediately felt immense pressure. Both in the Foundation Establishment realm, he used a yellow-level high-grade swordsmanship, but even after dozens of moves, they were evenly matched. The opponent's battle experience was extremely seasoned, not inferior to his own. His moves were orderly, showing no flaws. The cultivation technique practiced was far superior to Jiang Fan's. Several times Jiang Fan almost lost. Fortunately, he relied on the support from his movement technique to continue the fight. Finally, after 200 exchanges, he found Nangong Luyan's flaw and defeated him with one strike. Phew. Jiang Fan dripped with sweat, utterly exhausted. What's going on? The projection at the 11th layer is ridiculously stronger. He felt that this opponent was even tougher than the subalter master at the 2nd layer of foundation establishment. However, the effort was worth it. As the projection dissipated, a snow-white medicine pill appeared on the ground. This is a low-grade foundation establishment pill. Jiang Fan was overjoyed. This was something unique to the Green Cloud sect, capable of enhancing the cultivation of martial artists in the foundation establishment realm. It wasn't available outside at all. He immediately swallowed it and began cultivating on the spot. As the pill entered his stomach, a powerful medicinal force transformed into dense spiritual energy, entering the spirit pond. The spiritual power inside increased at a visible speed. When the effect of the pill wore off, his cultivation level had improved by a whole 10%. Jiang Fan couldn't help but marvel. One low-grade foundation establishment pill is 10 times more effective than a night of hard cultivation. If it were a top-grade foundation establishment pill, one would be worth 100 days of cultivation, right? He glanced at the 12th layer. Without hesitation, he left. The 11th layer was already so challenging, not to mention the 12th layer. Coming downstairs, he thought for a moment and murmured, "I'll prepare some qi cultivation liquid and a mental method for Xu Yining." Just as he left, Lu Qingxian and Xu Yining arrived at the site. Lu Qingxian, feeling her projection break, hurried over. Xu Yining, looking at the departing figure of number 1 shadow guard, lamented, too late by a step. But Lu Qingxian's eyes sparkled. Who is Xu Yining? Chapter 64 The Treasure Under the Statue. She heard it very clearly. Number 1 shadow guard said he wanted to give Xu Yining qi cultivation liquid and the mental method. What kind of relationship would make someone willing to help Xu Yining? The answer was almost obvious. The question was, to find out who Xu Yining was. Xu Yining was stunned. Xu Yining is my sister. Lu Qingxian was shocked. Your sister? Then does she have any young man by her side? Xu Yining looked confused. She didn't know why Lu Qingxian asked this, but still answered honestly. My sister maintains herself well, there are no young men by her side. Only her fiancé, Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan. Lu Qingxian's eyes lit up. Then do you think it's possible that Jiang Fan is number 1 shadow guard? Huh, him. Number 1 shadow guard. Xu Yining shook her head vigorously, adamantly replied, impossible. If he was number 1 shadow guard, I would be the heavenly mechanism pavilion master. Then, she recounted all of Jiang Fan's experiences from her perspective. After listening, Lu Qingxian was stunned, so mediocre. Then he isn't number 1 shadow guard. However, it does explain why your sister Xu Yining's cultivation improved rapidly. It's because number 1 shadow guard is secretly helping her. Hearing this, Xu Yining felt a mix of emotions. Complex because number 1 shadow guard favored her sister so much, making her feel a bit envious. Also complex because her sister wasn't as devoted as it seemed, having such a deep connection with number 1 shadow guard behind Jiang Fan's back. She suddenly felt a bit sorry for Jiang Fan. Lu Qingxian pondered for a while, then said, take me to the Xu mansion. Call Jiang Fan and your sister out, I will question them in person, maybe I can find some clues about number 1 shadow guard. Just then, the jade pendant on her waist also made a sound. After crushing it, it formed into a sentence. There is an issue at the sect, return immediately. Lu Qingxian's face turned a bit unpleasant. Why at this moment? It must be something related to the beast tide. Just when they were about to trace number 1 shadow guard. But the beast tide was a significant matter, she had to leave. While thinking, a method crossed her mind. Why not recruit Xu Yining into the Green Cloud sect? With number 1 shadow guard favoring Xu Yining so much, he would surely find a way to come to Green Cloud sect, right? The more she thought about it, the more feasible it seemed. She then asked, Xu Yining, it is Elder Li Qingfeng coming to take you back to the sect, right? Xu Yining didn't understand why she suddenly asked this. Feeling proud replied, Exactly, Elder Li, he will come in a few days. Lu Qingxian nodded, smiled mysteriously. Then she summoned a flying beast and directly soared back. Speaking of Jiang Fan, returning to Xu Mansion, he found Xu Yining diligently scrubbing the floor. The servants in the mansion were also busy cleaning. Places they usually ignored were spotless. What's going on? Jiang Fan asked in a low voice. Xu Yining, brimming with joy, said, "The predetermined elder from Green Cloud sect for my sister is coming to our home. My sister is about to enter Green Cloud sect." Jiang Fan was moved. Having witnessed the difficulty of cultivation in the Foundation establishment realm, he realized that for further advancement, Lonely Boat City couldn't provide the necessary resources. He had to go to Green Cloud sect for greater development. He wondered if his Foundation establishment realm cultivation would catch Elder Li's eye. But if he left, what about Xu Yining? Yining, come here. He quietly took out a few bottles of top-grade qi cultivation liquid and an unsealed dragon-seeking scripture. For the next few days, don't do anything else, focus on cultivation. You should try to see if Elder Li will take you back to Green Cloud sect as well. Xu Yining felt both like crying and laughing. Green Cloud sect values aptitude more, not really the current realm. With my second-grade spirit root, how could I catch Elder Li's eye? Nonetheless, seeing Jiang Fan's sincere expression, she didn't want to hurt his good intentions. She had to accept, and said, "Then I will go and cultivate now." Watching her get down to cultivation obediently, Jiang Fan didn't intend to relax either. He remembered the treasure under the stone sculpture in Cloud Floating Cave, and after packing some simple rations, headed into the mountains alone. Half a day later, Jiang Fan successfully opened the statue. Once again, he saw the treasure inside. A sword and 2 jade boxes. He set aside the sword and the 2 transcend mortality pills for now. Grabbing the jade box containing rootless heavenly water, he carefully tasted a drop. Instantly, a surge of powerful spiritual energy flooded into the spirit pond, increasing his cultivation a bit. Jiang Fan was astonished. Just 1 drop is equivalent to a whole night of silent cultivation. His eyes filled with anticipation, he immediately started practicing the dragon-seeking scripture, coordinating it with the rootless heavenly water as he sat cross-legged. 3 days later, the jade box's rootless heavenly water was completely gone. Jiang Fan had successfully broken through to the 3rd layer of the Foundation establishment realm. What amazing stuff, it directly broke through 2 layers. Jiang Fan exclaimed joyfully. However, theoretically, rootless heavenly water should only allow breaking through 1 realm. The reason for the extra layer was due to his mysterious spirit root and the dragon-seeking scripture. Explore new worlds at novel.bin.com. They maximize the absorption of all the spiritual energy in the rootless heavenly water. Not a single bit was wasted. This is what allowed him to break the limit, gaining an extra layer. He clenched his fists, a strong sense of power surged within him. Then, he looked at the transcend mortality pill and thought, my spirit root is sufficient, I'll take it back to Yining, see if it can improve her spirit root. Lastly, he looked at the top-grade spiritual artifact, the purple sword. He grabbed it in his hand. Immediately, a heavy pressure made him almost fail to hold the sword. So heavy. Jiang Fan was quite shocked. If not for breaking through to the 3rd layer of the Foundation establishment realm, he might not be able to wield it. I wonder what's special about this sword. Jiang Fan thought while making a nice sword move towards the statue in front of him. Due to its heaviness, his moves looked clumsy. It doesn't seem any special, still not better than the thunder-patterned spiritual wood sword. Jiang Fan felt disappointed. The wooden sword at least had the effect of electrocuting enemies and was very light. This so-called top-grade spiritual artifact was extremely heavy and had no special features. However, just as he spoke, he felt a shadow pressing down in front of him. Looking up, he was startled. He saw the huge statue inexplicably breaking, crashing down at him. He hurriedly used his movement technique, leaping away swiftly. Rumbling, a large pile of rubble hit his back, causing sharp pain. Turning back, he saw the statue had fallen, its head shattered into pieces. So close. Jiang Fan broke out in a cold sweat. What happened? Why did the statue suddenly collapse? Getting closer to inspect, his face turned strange. He saw several intricate cuts at the statue's broken part. They were smooth as a mirror, like tofu being sliced open. And the arcs of those cuts were exactly like those made by his nice sword move. No way. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 65 Iron Blood True Scripture. Jiang Fan looked at the shimmering purple sword in his hand, unable to believe it. He had only performed a sword flourish in the air just now. He jumped onto the statue. Holding the purple sword, he slashed at the statue forcefully. Bang! A sharp cracking sound suddenly came, and the statue broke into two. Jiang Fan gasped. He looked at the purple sword in shock. Its ability is to release sword chi from a distance. And such powerful sword chi that it can easily cut through stone. For a moment, he was incredibly delighted. With this sword in hand, paired with the 7-star sword Ju, the destructive power would be off the charts. The only flaw was that the sword was too heavy. It was very cumbersome to use. One must have an extremely strong physique to wield it perfectly. Do I have to do body refinement? Jiang Fan showed a bit of hesitation. Father once said that the martial path, specifically body techniques, is the most difficult because it requires far more resources than cultivating a technique. It's as hard as climbing to the sky to improve body techniques in Lonely Boat City. I must go to the Green Cloud sect. Next, he ensured the 2 transcend mortality pills were secured. The purple sword was then wrapped in a cloth to prevent its purple glow from attracting attention. But at this moment, a feeble and elderly cry came from outside the cave. Is anyone there? Is anyone there? Help me, please help me. In such a deep mountain forest, and in the heart of the Blood Bat Palace's lair, how could someone be asking for help? He immediately hid in the shadow of a crevice in the rock. Before long, an old man with disheveled hair and covered in blood ran in, panic-stricken. He scanned his surroundings, found no one, and couldn't help but sigh to the sky. I thought the noise in the cave was someone. My life is over. Moments later, a towering, giant man, like an iron tower, walked into the cave. His naked torso was smeared with strange patterns. As he walked, the ground rumbled under his steps. He looked like a moving mountain. Can't run away now, can you? The giant man grinned, revealing a sinister smile. Steal our giant sects, Iron Blood True Scripture, and even if you run back to the Green Cloud sect's territory, you must die. Jiang Fan's heart trembled. Experience more on Novel Bin. Com. Giant sect. Isn't that one of the 9 major sects under the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion? It was the most powerful of the 9. And also the farthest from the Green Cloud sect, separated by several other sects. How had the giant sect's people chased him into Green Cloud sect territory? The fleeing old man angrily shouted, Xu Yining. You are utterly shameless. The Iron Blood True Scripture was my reward for 18 years of alchemy for your giant sect. As an inner sect disciple of the giant sect, a righteous sect, you dare to kill for treasures. The Iron Blood True Scripture in the giant sect was a confidential technique that only elders could view. As an inner sect disciple, Xu Yining had coveted it for a long time. Upon seeing this old man, who had retired and returned home, receive it as a reward, Xu Yining devised his wicked plan. Hey, what righteous sect? In this world, power is the ultimate principle. Xu Yining's eyes glowed fiercely as he stepped toward the old man. Now you have 2 choices, hand over the Iron Blood True Scripture, and I will let you die quickly. Otherwise, I will torture you until you do. Jiang Fan held his breath, his gaze steady. He had no intention of intervening. The dispute over treasures between these 2 had nothing to do with him. And this inner sect disciple of the giant sect was extremely formidable, giving him a sense of oppression many times stronger than that of the subalter master. There was no need to take risks. However, Jiang Fan's heart skipped a beat. He keenly noticed that Xu Yining glanced at his hiding spot out of the corner of his eye. He immediately sensed danger. Though Xu Yining appeared to be moving toward the old man, he suddenly kicked a fist-sized rock towards Jiang Fan's direction. He had been discovered. Jiang Fan did not hesitate, swiftly pulling out his wooden sword, and deflecting the incoming rock with a sword move. His palm throbbed with pain. He was shocked. This person's strength was terrifying. The force in just a rock kicked from afar was this potent. If he were kicked at close range, his bones wouldn't just break, he could be fatally wounded. Oh, a bit of skill. Xu Gangli squinted, coldly looking at Jiang Fan as he slowly walked out of the crevice. Able to take one of my hits, you've got some ability, are you a Green Cloud sect disciple? Seeing Jiang Fan's youthful appearance and strength, he guessed his identity. Jiang Fan didn't want to complicate things. Yes. I didn't see anything that happened here. Xu Gangli smiled and cupped his hands. Then I thank you. The 9 sects are like brothers, we should look out for one another. Though he spoke this way, Jiang Fan remained extremely cautious. He slowly backed away, never letting his guard down. When he reached the edge of the plaza, Xu Gangli could no longer restrain himself and snorted, "You're quite shrewd." He had never intended to let Jiang Fan leave. The old man was a soul master who had worked for the giant sect for many years. If he killed him and stole the iron blood true scripture, how could he let anyone else know? His solicitous words were meant to lower Jiang Fan's guard, then deliver a fatal blow. Unexpectedly, Jiang Fan was so cautious, giving him no opportunity. Seeing him near the edge of his attack range, Xu Gangli could no longer hold back, revealing his true nature. As he spoke, he delivered a sweeping strike. A large number of rocks shot over like cannonballs. Fortunately, Jiang Fan was prepared. He swung his wooden sword repeatedly, deflecting all the rocks. Taking advantage of this opening, Xu Gangli, who seemed clumsy, charged with astounding speed, leaping with a long stride and came down with a move like Mount Tai pressing down. Feeling the rapidly pressing shadow above him, without thinking, he immediately used his movement technique, narrowly dodging it. Rumble. Where he had stood was crushed a foot deep by Xu Gangli's massive body, cracks spreading like spider webs. If he had been hit, he would have died. Jiang Fan was shocked but did not hesitate, turning and stabbing with his sword. Lonely star points. However, the sword only left a white scratch on his skin. Like a scrape. What a hard body. Xu Gangli laughed heartily. A broken wooden sword, trying to break through my body. Then my 10 years of Vajra invincible training would be wasted on a dog. The distant old man also hurriedly reminded. Young hero, Xu Gangli practices body refining techniques, be sure not to let him get close. Do you need to say that? Jiang Fan was speechless. He calmly used his movement technique, always keeping his distance, and struck again with his sword. 3 stars illuminating the moon. Swish. The powerful sword move slashed his arm, leaving only a whiter scratch. If that's all you've got, you can die now. Xu Gangli sneered. Jiang Fan's eyes flashed, suddenly shouting, 7 stars to the north. The third move was the essence of the 7-star sword Ju. The strongest move, slice. With a sound of tearing fabric, the wooden sword cut into his chest, cutting through the tough skin, slashing the flesh. Blood immediately gushed out. Hiss. Xu Gangli gasped in pain. Yet, Jiang Fan's heart sank heavily. Chapter 66 Compensate with the scripture. If it had been an ordinary person, this sword would have disemboweled them long ago, but for Xu Gangli, it nearly cut through a layer of skin. It didn't even touch the bone. This man's physique was unbelievably strong. Xu Gangli wiped the bloodstains on his chest, finally enraged. You dog, you dare to wound me. With a loud bang. His powerful legs pushed off, and his whole body pounced forward. From a distance, he looked like a giant toad. Jiang Fan couldn't dodge in time. Yet he remained calm, displaying 7 stars to the north, once again. Xu Gangli roared, die. Ignoring the pain, he grabbed the wooden sword with both hands. Little did he know, Jiang Fan had been waiting for this moment. Without any hesitation, he suddenly activated the wooden sword's electric shock effect. Crackling. A continuous current instantly surged into Xu Gangli's body. His body twitched violently and fell stiffly from midair, lying motionless on the ground. He was truly like a toad. But what made Jiang Fan's scalp tingle was the current that could make an ordinary person stiff for over 3 breaths. Xu Gangli had only stiffened for a moment before recovering. He angrily climbed up, forcefully snapped the wooden sword into 2 pieces, and threw them harshly at Jiang Fan's feet. Little bastard, now you should die, right? With that, he transformed into a blur and charged at Jiang Fan. To Jiang Fan, it felt like a mountain was crashing into him. The elder let out a desperate cry, dodge quickly. He could almost see Jiang Fan's fate. One collision, and he would surely turn into a blood mist. Jiang Fan also felt a chill in his heart. This was his last chance. He drew the purple sword from his back with a reverse grip, not even having time to unravel the cloth wrapping. He slashed towards the charging Xu Yining from a distance. The movement was clumsy and slow. It elicited a sneer from Xu Yining, "You can't even hold the sword properly, and you still dare to." As he spoke, Xu Yining froze. He realized that the distance between him and Jiang Fan had suddenly stopped closing. Moreover, he saw in his line of sight a lower half of a body, with only the legs left, continuing towards Jiang Fan by inertia. Finally, just as it was about to reach Jiang Fan, it fell with a thud. And his own body dropped heavily to the ground. Looking down at his body, his lower half was gone. Immediately, the delayed pain struck so fiercely that he let out a scream of agony. "Ah! Ah! My body, my body!" Splurt. He didn't suffer for long. Jiang Fan unhesitatingly pierced his throat with a sword, ending his life. Until his death, he never understood what had just happened. That was close. Jiang Fan wiped the sweat from his forehead, showing a look of relief. If it weren't for obtaining the purple sword, he feared he would have met his end here today. It's just a pity about the thunder pattern spiritual wood sword. He picked up the broken wooden sword, heart aching. It had accompanied him for so long, and had often helped him out of dangerous situations. Today it was caught in the crossfire and met an untimely end. The disheveled elder walked over with an apologetic expression, saying, "I'm sorry, young hero, I didn't deliberately lead him to you, it was just a survival instinct. Let me compensate you with some silver." Jiang Fan glared at him coldly, "Who cares about your silver? You almost cost me my life. Do you think a simple apology will suffice?" Suddenly, he recalled Xu Yining's mention of the Iron Blood True Scripture. Read latest chapters at novelbin.com. Copy the Iron Blood True Scripture for me, and we'll call it even. The old man's lips trembled. After a brief thought, he gritted his teeth and said, "All right, I must repay the favor of saving my life." The reason he hadn't handed over the Iron Blood True Scripture to Xu Yining was that once he did, he would be killed. But the Jiang Fan before him didn't seem like a heartless villain. So, he pulled out an iron scroll covered in dense writings, which was a body refinement technique. Jiang Fan glanced at it, his pupils contracting involuntarily, a profound level lower grade body refining technique. The old man squatted down to copy, speaking with some pride. This is the giant sect's top-level body refining method, watched only by elders and the sect master. Otherwise, why do you think Xu Yining chased me into the Green Cloud sect territory? Jiang Fan, however, caught the implication, watched. What? No one practices this body refining method. Is there a problem with the technique? Also, he was puzzled. If it was the top-level technique, why was an outsider able to take it away? The elder's old face stiffened. This kid was really sharp. He had immediately noticed something wrong. So, he sighed helplessly, there's no problem with the technique. It's just that it requires a lot of resources. Look for yourself, what it takes to practice the first layer. Jiang Fan looked closer, his face turning peculiar. 4th level spirit pills, 10 fierce tiger pills. The elder said, now you understand why no one practices this technique. The fierce tiger pills, only a 4-star soul master can refine them. But where can you find a 4-star soul master? Not to mention the giant sect, even the heavenly mechanism pavilion doesn't have one. So, this technique is as good as useless, just for show. The elder remembered his pursuit ordeal. He felt quite aggrieved. I must have been out of my mind to think of this as a reward. You can't practice it, and it attracted pursuit. I nearly lost my old life. Young man, you can take it back to read, but don't practice it. Without the fierce tiger pills, it's useless even if you try. Jiang Fan rubbed his chin, saying nothing. The fierce tiger pills, others couldn't refine them. But he could. He could practice this technique without any trouble. Suppressing his excitement, Jiang Fan nonchalantly went to check Xu Yining's body. He found quite a few items. However, Xu Yining followed the path of body refinement, so there were no cultivation techniques or foundation establishment pills. But there was a bag of shiny crystal stones that caught his attention. Xu Yining was quite wealthy, He actually had 100 mid-grade crystal stones, which is equivalent to 1,000 low-grade crystal stones. The elder glanced over, becoming instantly envious and swallowing hard. Crystal stones. Jiang Fan looked at the elder with surprise. The elder was taken aback. Young hero, doesn't the Green Cloud sect use crystal stones? In the Nine sect, it's hard to measure various high-value heavenly materials and earthly treasures with silver. Therefore, crystal stones are the standard currency. Jiang Fan let out an "oh," and pocketed the loot. Soon, the elder finished copying the technique, checking to ensure every word was correct, then he put it away. Farewell. The elder also got up to leave. But suddenly, he swayed and fell to the ground, his vision going black. Jiang Fan paused his steps and said, "What's wrong with you?" "Oh, old problem, nothing serious." The elder struggled to breathe, pulling out a bottle of medicine from his bosom, only to find it broken. All the pills inside had been lost during his escape. He was instantly thrown into a panic. Jiang Fan frowned. With the thought of helping to the end, he went over to check the elder's pulse and smelled the medicine bottle. "So it's a problem with your meridians." He searched the elder's belongings, found the necessary materials. A short while later, he had refined a few pills, fed one to the elder, and placed the rest beside him. When the elder woke up, Jiang Fan was already gone. "He saved me. But my spirit pills were all gone, where did he get them?" Spirit pills can only be refined by soul masters. At this moment, he glanced at the spirit pills before him. And his pupils contracted involuntarily. Chapter 67 The Visit of the Elder from Green Cloud Sect. Top-grade pulse extending pill. This can only be refined by at least a 3-star soul master. That young man is actually a 3-star soul master. He was utterly shocked. A 3-star soul master, that's a significant figure in the heavenly mechanism pavilion. And that young man is one of them. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, he would never have believed that a 3-star soul master could be so young. For a long time, he couldn't calm his shock. Knowing that it was not safe to stay there for long, he quickly left. As he passed by Xu Gangli's body, he sighed, "You really didn't die unjustly." That was a 3-star soul master, often unfathomable at such a level. To think you attacked him, you really must not have valued your life. Not long after, he returned to the Qin family. Qin Changsheng led a group of clansmen, kneeling to welcome him. "We welcome the old master back." It turned out he was the old master of the Qin family, Qin Wenyuan, a genuine 1-star soul master. There wasn't the slightest hint of a smile on his face. Instead, his face was stern as he questioned, "Why is business so poor? What are you doing?" Before returning to the mansion, he had specifically checked the various shops of the Qin family, finding their business to be very bad. Far from what it used to be. Qin Changsheng tearfully explained, "Old master, you may not know, but the Chen family invited a powerful soul master, who took away more than half of our business. I heard that soul master is also planning to train a group of soul master apprentices for the Chen family, specifically to refine low-grade foundation establishment pills, intending to cut off our Qin family's livelihood." Upon hearing this, Qin Wenyuan's face darkened. Training soul master apprentices to cut off our Qin family's livelihood. Such arrogance. I must see for myself who this person is. Qin Changsheng was overjoyed and asked, "Old master, how will you deal with him?" Qin Wenyuan narrowed his old eyes and said, "Isn't he recruiting people with qualifications to train soul master apprentices? I will respond to his call and listen to what he is capable of." Shu Mansion. Jiang Fan had just returned and found the mansion renewed. Everyone was busy. Xu Yining had also changed into a brand new outfit. Usually bare-faced, she had added a touch of makeup to welcome the most important day in her 18 years of life. Jiang Fan was surprised and wrote, "What's this?" Xu Yining originally didn't want to pay attention to Jiang Fan, but she couldn't hold back her great mood. Moreover, she wanted to show off in front of Jiang Fan. "Elder Li is arriving at our Xu family today." Jiang Fan was slightly surprised and wrote, "Wasn't it a few days later? Why was the time suddenly changed?" Xu Yining also showed a puzzled expression. Previously, Li Qingfeng had notified them it would be 5 days later. But for some reason he suddenly changed the time and rushed to the Xu family. After thinking for a while, she guessed, It should be because I broke through to the Foundation establishment realm. Elder Li is so pleased that he wants to accept me into the Green Cloud sect ahead of time. This explanation made sense. However, Jiang Fan still felt something was odd. Elders of the Green Cloud sect, which one of them wasn't busy with numerous affairs? Many things were arranged in advance, so how could they disrupt the arrangement suddenly? Fan, you're back. Xu Yining, holding a rag, was surprised. Where have you been these past few days? Seeing her doing the servant's work again, Jiang Fan instantly became furious and wrote, I told you to cultivate, what are you doing? Xu Yining glanced at Xu Yining beside her and whispered, I stopped just now to help out. Fan, be honest with me, what exactly is the liquid you gave me? And the new mental method, what level is it? Why did I break through again and am now at the 8th layer of qi cultivation? Her face showed unease. The cultivation speed was too fast. It was almost like divine assistance. Jiang Fan's mouth twitched. In the whole world, only this silly girl would worry about cultivating too quickly. With top-grade qi cultivation liquid and a high-level profound mental method, it was hard for Xu Yining not to progress quickly. He didn't explain, but took out a transcend mortality pill, handed it to her, and wrote, swallow it. Xu Yining saw this from the side. Curiously, she asked, Fan, what good thing are you giving to my sister now? Jiang Fan turned and handed her a note, do you want one too? Knowing her limitations, Xu Yining snorted, who wants your stuff? I'm about to become a disciple of the Green Cloud sect, what doesn't the Green Cloud sect have? Jiang Fan wrote, that's the best. I wouldn't give it to you anyway. Xu Yining was instantly angered, her chest heaving, biting her silver teeth. For some reason, she now cared more and more about Jiang Fan's attitude. Before, she had treated him like air. Xu Yining said, Fan, don't you have another one? Give it to sister. Being given charity by Jiang Fan again. Explore more adventures at novel.bin.com. Xu Yining angrily said, I don't want it. It's definitely not a good thing, sister, you'd better not eat it, be careful it'll upset your stomach. Xu Yining felt a headache. She didn't know what was wrong with her sister. Why was she always bickering with Jiang Fan recently? For the past 10 years, hadn't they gotten along well without interfering with each other? Looking at the pill in her palm, she didn't hesitate and swallowed it. Jiang Fan looked expectantly. How do you feel? Do you notice any changes in your body? Xu Yining shook her head, puzzled. No. After thinking a bit, Jiang Fan understood. The Transcend Mortality pill improved the quality of the spirit root, not physical changes. Therefore, even if there were changes, the body wouldn't show it. A treasure that made the subalter master die with regrets must be extraordinary. Are you all ready? My master will be here soon. A clear voice came from outside the door. Zhang Qizhan walked in quickly. Xu Yining's eyes lit up, and she ran up, respectfully, Senior Brother Zhang. Zhang Qizhan looked at the beautiful and alluring Xu Yining, and couldn't help but show a hint of heat. When he followed Li Qingfeng to Lonely Boat City to investigate Xu Yining, he had seen her once. At that time, he was amazed by Xu Yining's beauty, and it left a deep impression. Half a year had passed. Seeing her again, she still amazed him. Junior sister, are you all ready? Xu Yining nodded. Please, Senior Brother Zhang, point out any deficiencies. Zhang Qizhan glanced around, slightly nodded. It looks clean, no issues. At this moment, he noticed Jiang Fan. He couldn't help but ask, who is this? Xu Yining replied unhappily, my sister's fiancé, Jiang Fan. So he was Jiang Fan. A trace of hostility grew in his eyes. Before, with Zhu Jianshan's offerings, he could get a few fire spirit pearls every year. Now that Zhu Jianshan was dead, he had nothing. This Jiang Fan must have been involved in Zhu Jianshan's death. Junior Sister Yining, our master's appearance is not for just any random person to see. This Jiang Fan looks disreputable at a glance, get rid of him. Xu Yining frowned. Although she disliked Jiang Fan, how was he disreputable? But considering Li Qingfeng was coming, she had to let Jiang Fan give in. Jiang Fan, go to the back courtyard. Don't come out today. Jiang Fan gave Zhang Qizhan a stare. He left without saying a word. Xu Yining also wanted to go with him, but Xu Yining stopped her. Sister, you should stay. What if Elder Li takes a liking to you? Jiang Fan sneered, thinking Jiang Fan wasn't good, neither was his fiancé. Let her leave as well. Xu Yining hadn't planned to stay, she gave Jiang Fan a cold look and left holding Jiang Fan's arm. At this moment, Jiang Fan noticed Xu Yining's stunning beauty. He couldn't help but regret it. Xu Yining's sister was even more beautiful than her. What a beauty wasted on this trash. At that moment, a bird swooped down and landed in the middle of the courtyard. Standing atop was a middle-aged man in blue robes, elegant as a celestial being, with a scholarly face. He exuded an awe-inspiring aura. Xu Yining led a group of clansmen to welcome him immediately. All members of the Xu family welcome Elder Li. Li Qingfeng jumped down, his gaze swept through the Xu family members quickly. When he saw Xu Yining, he paused briefly before looking away. His focus lingered among the female members of the Xu family. After looking around, he frowned and murmured, "Which one is Xu Yining?" as mentioned by the young sect leader. Chapter 68, The Different Treatment of the Two Sisters. A few days ago, Lu Qingxian received a summons and hurriedly returned to the Green Cloud sect. The first thing she did was not to report to the sect master but to find him. Li Qingfeng remembered it clearly. Lu Qingxian was excited and said that the Xu family in Lonely Boat City had an extremely important woman who must be taken into the Green Cloud sect. The sect master's daughter had personally issued the order, so how could Li Qingfeng refuse? Thus, he changed his schedule and arrived at the Xu family ahead of time. Under Xu Yining's enthusiastic invitation, he sat down in the hall. After a round of pleasantries, he couldn't help but ask with a smile, "Yining, introduce these clan members of yours." Xu Yining was thrilled, and the Xu family members all stood tall with quiet excitement. Undoubtedly, Li Qingfeng also wanted to investigate the Xu family's other members in passing. If there were any who caught his eye, he would take them back to the Green Cloud sect as well. Xu Yining was secretly excited and quickly said, "Yining, hurry and introduce them to Elder Li." Xu Yining nodded, "Elder Li, these are my parents. This is the elder of my family. This is my cousin, Xu Xiangyang. This is my younger cousin, Xu Wenqing. This is..." She introduced them one by one. Li Qingfeng patiently listened to all the introductions. He couldn't help but be surprised. Were all Xu family members here? Where was Xu Yining? Could it be that there was another Xu family in Lonely Boat City? Had he come to the wrong place? Xu Yining hesitated and glanced at Jiang Fan, saying, reporting to Elder Li, "I have an older sister named Xu Yining." The stone in Li Qingfeng's heart fell away, and he asked, "Is she not in the family?" The hall suddenly quieted down. Everyone turned to look at Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan was stunned. No one had expected that the master would care so much about Xu Yining. Under many gazes, Jiang Fan dared not lie and had to answer, reporting to Elder, "I had her avoid the meeting." What? Li Qingfeng abruptly stood up. He had never seen Lu Qingxian care so much about a person in his life. Moreover, Lu Qingxian had said something that shocked him immensely. If he could recruit Xu Yining as a disciple, the Green Cloud sect would become the #1 sect among the 9 sects in the future. Such an important disciple, and his foolish apprentice had made her avoid the meeting. If Lu Qingxian found out, she would be thunderously furious, right? He couldn't help but be angry and slapped him across the face, harshly scolding, "Who gave you permission to send her away? You fool! Get out of my sight!" Jiang Fan trembled in fear. In all the years under his master's tutelage, he had never seen his master this angry. He dared not delay and bent over, hastily retreating from the hall and leaving the Xu family. The people in the hall didn't even dare breathe loudly. Xu Yining swallowed nervously and whispered, "Yining, quickly go fetch your sister for Elder Li to meet." Soon after, Xu Yining returned, looking bewildered. Jiang Fan accompanied her by her side. From what Xu Yining said, Jiang Fan was also puzzled. It seems that Elder Li specifically came to find Xu Yining. But she has never been in the Green Cloud sect site, so how does Elder Li know about her existence? Moreover, her previous strength was quite ordinary, so it should be hard for anyone to notice her. Jiang Fan scratched his head in confusion, then suddenly thought, could it be someone was attracted to her beauty? Upon reflection, that seemed most likely. "No, I also need to find a way to enter the Green Cloud sect," Jiang Fan murmured worriedly. As Xu Yining arrived, Li Qingfeng's smile grew even warmer and he became exceedingly kind. Are you Xu Yining? This attitude made Xu Yining feel a bit downcast. Even Li Qingfeng hadn't been this kind to her. Why did he seem to care so much about her sister? She was the officially designated inner sect disciple, wasn't she? Xu Yining was so nervous that she didn't know where to put her hands, stammering, "Yes, I am Xu Yining." Li Qingfeng, with a curious look, gently said, "Don't be nervous. I came to accept you as my disciple. Are you willing to join my sect?" What? Everyone in the hall, without exception, was utterly surprised. Just seeing her face and asking her name. No testing of her spirit root, no probing of her cultivation, and yet he directly accepted her as a disciple. Xu Zhengyan was initially stunned, then became overjoyed and hurriedly said, "Yining, quickly bow to your master." Having 2 daughters join the Green Cloud sect, how glorious was that? Xu Yining felt unbalanced within. Why? Discover hidden tales at novel.bin.com. She was a pride of the heavens, having gone through numerous evaluations to finally gain approval. But her sister, just by showing her face, was directly accepted as a disciple. The obvious disparity made her feel uncomfortable inside. While Xu Yining was at a loss, Jiang Fan patted her shoulder, giving her an encouraging look. He had always worried that Xu Yining wouldn't make it into the Green Cloud sect. Unexpectedly, Elder Li accepted her directly. Xu Yining hurriedly knelt down to perform the apprenticeship ceremony. Li Qingfeng, smiling, helped her up gently, saying, "No need for such formalities. Sincerity is what counts in acknowledging a master, you don't need all these elaborate rituals." Xu Yining respectfully said, "Li, master." Li Qingfeng laughed heartily, stroking his beard, and took out a bracelet from his chest, imbued with a faint spirit light. It was a magic artifact. "A gift for our first meeting, take it." Xu Yining, delighted, accepted it. "Thank you, master." "Thank you, master." This scene made Xu Yining feel even more bitter. Xu Zhengyan noticed and said, "Elder Li, shouldn't my younger daughter also formally recognize you as her master?" Previously, she was only designated as a disciple. Because it wasn't yet the day the Green Cloud sect recruited disciples, she hadn't officially been accepted yet. Now, it was time. Li Qingfeng seemed to have just remembered Xu Yining and nodded slightly. "Yining, you should also acknowledge me as your master." Xu Yining, joyous, bowed to pay her respects, imitating her sister. Unexpectedly, Li Qingfeng frowned slightly. Noticing this, Xu Zhengyan's face changed slightly, and he quickly poured a cup of tea to give to Xu Yining, reproaching, "Elder Li's status is highly noble, quickly kneel down with the tea for the ceremony." But when her sister acknowledged the master, it wasn't like this. Why was it different for her? She bit her red lips lightly, took the tea, and knelt respectfully on the ground, bowing deeply and offering the tea. "Please, master, have some tea." Li Qingfeng nodded, took the tea lightly, and said, "From today onwards, you will be my disciple. Rise." Xu Yining stood up and moved aside, but waited for a long time. She still didn't receive a gift like her sister did. She felt immensely wronged. Why was this? Li Qingfeng wasn't specifically here to accept her as a disciple. Why did it seem like he came for her sister, and she was just incidental? Li Qingfeng's gaze flickered between the 2 sisters and then said, "My disciples are divided into true disciples and inner sect disciples. As the name suggests, true disciples receive more personal guidance from me. Inner sect disciples will be granted enough resources, but their cultivation will depend more on themselves. Each year, I can only accept 1 true disciple." This made Xu Yining feel somewhat better. After all, she had been designated as a true disciple from the start. Therefore, Li Qingfeng paused. "This year, I will accept Xu Yining as a true disciple. Xu Yining, endure it for now, and next year I will make you a true disciple." Chapter 69. No Spirit Root. What? Xu Yining couldn't believe her ears. "Master, didn't you decide long ago that I would be the true disciple? Why did it go to my sister?" Regarding Lu Qingxian's words, he couldn't disclose much and could only say tactfully, "There are some things I can't explain clearly, I can only tell you that your sister is more suitable to be the true disciple." Seeing Xu Yining's eyes redden with grievance, he comforted her, "How about this, you will be an inner sect disciple in name. In reality, I will treat you like a true disciple, how about that?" Besides, you two are sisters, not outsiders, why bother about a title? Xu Yining's eyes reddened even more. If it were before, she could have let it go, since after all, they were sisters. But now, she glanced at Jiang Fan. Though Jiang Fan had no expression on his face, she felt that he must be gloating inside, laughing at her. From the beginning, being a true disciple was her pride, her glory, her capital to boast in front of Jiang Fan. Now, this honor had been given to someone else. She must be a joke in Jiang Fan's eyes. She had to take it back. Master, I do not accept this. Xu Yining gritted her teeth and said, why does my sister get to be the true disciple? You haven't even tested her spirit root. Xu Yining also felt guilty and quickly said, Master, let my sister be the true disciple. I am not worthy of being a true disciple. Being an inner sect disciple is already a great fortune. Li Qingfeng also felt a headache. With Xu Yining's qualifications, there was no problem in becoming a true disciple. But Xu Yining was the disciple chosen by the sect master's daughter. How could he neglect her? At this moment, Jiang Fan stepped forward and presented a note to Li Qingfeng. Elder Li, why not test Xu Yining's spirit root? Xu Yining anxiously tugged at Jiang Fan's sleeve. What are you doing? I can't stand the embarrassment. With her second-grade spirit root, how could she manage? Jiang Fan, however, smiled and picked up a brush. I believe Yining has the qualifications to be the true disciple. His words carried a hint of confidence. The transcend mortality pill that the subalter master sought for over a decade couldn't have been for just a single level improvement, right? Xu Yining's current spirit root was at least 4th grade, not far from Xu Yining. More than enough to be a true disciple. Oh. Li Qingfeng looked at Jiang Fan in surprise. Then he looked at Xu Yining's stubborn face and thought for a moment, saying, all right then, Xu Yining's spirit root needs to be tested anyway. We'll just test it in public. He took out a palm-sized disc and said, Xu Yining, place your hand on it, and the spirit root level will appear. Xu Yining's face reddened as she said reluctantly, Master, my spirit root is very low. Li Qingfeng said, it doesn't matter, no matter how low, you are still my disciple. Helpless, she could only walk forward with a heavy heart and place her small hand on the disc. Her face was full of dejection. She could already imagine the embarrassing scene when the second-grade spirit root was revealed. Xu Yining stared intently at the disc. She had to see for herself, if Xu Yining was revealed to have a second-grade spirit root, would Li Qingfeng still have the face to let her be the true disciple? Whir. The disc spun for a while, then stopped. It projected a beam of light, floating in midair as clear text. 7th grade spirit root. With a sudden move, Li Qingfeng abruptly stood up from his chair, his eyes shining brightly. 7th grade spirit root. Xu Yining, you have really surprised your master. He originally thought Xu Yining's aptitude would definitely be poor. But it turned out to be an existence that even surpassed Xu Yining's 6th grade spirit root. The Xu family was equally shocked. They uttered cries of astonishment. Xu Yining herself was also dumbfounded. Fan, what is going on? The changes in her must have been brought by Jiang Fan. Was it those mysterious liquids? Or the spirit pill she just ate? Step. Xu Yining staggered backward, her beautiful face turning pale in an instant. She couldn't accept it and kept shaking her head. Impossible. This can't be. How could you have a 7th grade spirit root? Xu Yining, a bit scared by her frenzied state, stepped behind Jiang Fan. This caught Xu Yining's attention to Jiang Fan. Thinking about her sister's changes, which started ever since she and Jiang Fan were betrothed, she guessed the reason. More than once had she seen Jiang Fan secretly give Xu Yining mysterious liquids. And that spirit pill in the jade box just now, obviously very precious. It was Jiang Fan. It must have been Jiang Fan who brought these changes to her sister, turning her former 2nd grade spirit root sister into someone superior to her. Understanding everything, Xu Yining broke down. Tears that had been welling up in her eyes fell like raindrops. Jiang Fan. Why did you do this to me? Why? She asked 3 times, then ran out crying. Jiang Fan was speechless, muttering, what did I do to you? This is absurd. Xu Yining, however, looked guilty. She understood her sister's thoughts, sighed deeply, she doesn't blame you. Continue your adventure with novel bin. Calm. She blames herself for pushing you to my side. Everything I have today was supposed to belong to her. Jiang Fan realized. But he shook his head slightly, gently hugging her shoulder. No need to blame yourself. Everything was her own choice. Li Qingfeng observed the relationship between the two. He couldn't help but frown slightly. He said, Xu Yining, I still have to find that person with the 9-grade spirit root in the city. In the next few days, prepare well, and when I find this person, you will follow me back to Green Cloud Sect. Xu Yining's heart tightened. She looked at Jiang Fan beside her and said, Master, can you also take Jiang Fan as a disciple? Li Qingfeng looked Jiang Fan up and down and said, let's test his qualification first. If it's acceptable, I might consider taking him as a disciple. He handed the disc to Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan took it and infused it with spiritual power without hesitation. He was a bit worried. This disc was clearly cruder in detecting sensitivity than the bronze ruler. Would it fail the detection again? What he feared came true. Soon, the words, no spirit root, projected into midair. Li Qingfeng shook his head and said, unfortunately, even though I am an elder of a sect, I have no right to take someone with no spirit root into the sect. Xu Yining anxiously said, but Jiang Fan already has cultivation. Oh, Li Qingfeng's eyes showed surprise. Stroking his beard, he said, no spirit root, yet he has cultivation. Such a thing. Unheard of. Xu Yining also hurriedly said, Elder Li, it's absolutely true. Jiang Fan not only has cultivation, but it's quite notable. Notable. Li Qingfeng merely smiled. In his eyes, only cultivation above foundation establishment barely counted as a martial artist. Qi cultivation realm was merely child's play. How far could a person with no spirit root go? At most, by consuming heavenly materials and earthly treasures, they might reach the 3rd or 4th layer of Qi cultivation. However, to convince Xu Yining, he nodded and said, then I will give Jiang Fan a chance. Show me your cultivation. Chapter 70, The Opportunity to Enter the Green Cloud Sect. Xu Yining said excitedly, Jiang Fan. Give it your all. After going through so much, he had come to fully trust Jiang Fan. He couldn't feel at ease leaving his daughter with anyone else. Only in entrusting her to Jiang Fan did he feel completely reassured. So if Jiang Fan could join the Green Cloud Sect, that would be the best. Xu Yining was also so nervous that she gripped the hem of her skirt, even more anxious than when she had her own spirit root tested. Jiang Fan took a deep breath. He knew that the moment to decide his fate had come. Discover hidden stories at Novel Bin. Com. If he couldn't enter the Green Cloud Sect, it would be very difficult for him to have a great future in this life. Moreover, he wouldn't be able to move forward together with Xu Yining. Therefore, he held back nothing and publicly unleashed the immense spiritual power of the Foundation Establishment 3rd layer. Li Qingfeng sensed it with an expressionless face. In his heart, he already had a draft of how to phrase it to dispel Jiang Fan's notion of entering the Green Cloud Sect. At the same time, he wanted to make it less upsetting for Xu Yining so that she would willingly follow him back to the Green Cloud Sect. Suddenly, a surge of spiritual power from the Foundation Establishment realm made his heart jump. Sensing the source of the spiritual power, he couldn't help but stand up in surprise. Foundation Establishment 3rd layer. A person without a spirit root could cultivate to the Foundation Establishment 3rd layer. He couldn't help but suspect that the disc might be broken and had detected the wrong aptitude. Such a young Foundation Establishment 3rd layer would be considered a prodigy even in the Green Cloud Sect. He took out a new disc and eagerly said, please retest your spirit root. Jiang Fan nodded and also expectedly tested again. But the result was still, no spirit root. Li Qingfeng stared at those 3 words in a daze for a long while, unable to understand. How did Jiang Fan break through to such a high realm? Could it be one of those legendary extremely powerful demonic pills or methods that deplete potential? After much thought, that seemed to be the only possibility. Such a life-sacrificing crooked path had very serious drawbacks. He immediately dismissed any notion of accepting Jiang Fan. But Xu Yining pleaded, Master, Jiang Fan's kindness to me is as great as a mountain. If he can't go to the Green Cloud Sect, then I won't go either. Li Qingfeng felt helpless. After much deliberation, he proposed a compromise. How about this? I'll give Jiang Fan another chance. Before leaving, I'll have my disciple Zhang Qizhan assess his strength. If he can withstand 10 moves from Zhang Qizhan, then I will acknowledge his ability to enter the Green Cloud sect. What do you think? Xu Yining couldn't help but turn pale. Zhang Qizhan was a longtime disciple under Li Qingfeng. His cultivation had reached the 4th layer of the foundation establishment. The cultivation techniques he practiced were far superior to those at Lonely Boat City of the yellow level medium rank. Jiang Fan's realm was 1 level lower, and his cultivation techniques were several levels behind. Even enduring 3 moves would be extremely difficult, let alone 10 moves. Li Qingfeng was clearly not willing to let Jiang Fan enter the Green Cloud sect. Jiang Fan, however, was delighted. No matter how difficult it was, at least it was a rare opportunity. He quickly wrote, "I accept the challenge." Li Qingfeng nodded with a smile, "Good. If you can't pass, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. Also, I hope you'll advise Xu Yining not to delay her lifelong cultivation due to a moment of sentiment." Jiang Fan nodded in agreement, writing, "Agreed." After Li Qingfeng left with a smile, searching for 9th-grade spiritual root. Xu Yining was anxious and kept pacing. "Fan, how could you agree? Zhang Qizhan's cultivation is so deep. How can you withstand his 10 moves easily?" Jiang Fan thought about the high palm technique, wandering dragon palm. He hadn't yet had time to cultivate. Confidence flashed in his eyes. "Give me 3 days, and I will have confidence to battle him." What he said was a battle. Not just enduring 10 moves. How could Xu Yining believe it? She sighed, then tried to build a good relationship with Zhang Qizhan. "Hopefully, he will go easier on you during the assessment." Jiang Fan agreed on the surface. As soon as he went out, he prepared to go to the Dragon Rising path. The best way to quickly cultivate a technique is through actual combat. Unexpectedly, just as he reached the gate, he saw Zhang Qizhan, still bearing the marks of a slap on his face, looking irate. "Why did you hide Xu Yining's matters? Making me get slapped by our master. You did it on purpose, didn't you?" Jiang Fan looked puzzled. He wrote, "Who held their nose in the air and wanted to drive me and my wife out without saying a word? No one forced you to do that, right? Got slapped, but instead of reflecting on yourself, you blame others. No wonder your master calls you stupid." Zhang Qizhan clenched his fists in anger, shouting, "Outrageous, how dare you speak to me like that? Jiang Fan was fearless, want to fight me? Who's afraid of whom?" Zhang Qizhan really wanted to pin him down and beat him up. But, having just angered his master, he didn't dare to make a scene outside the Xu family's gate. He glared at Jiang Fan with hatred. "After my matchmaking, and I deal with my tasks, I'll teach you a lesson." Jiang Fan looked thoughtful. Matchmaking. Chen Silin recently also had to go for matchmaking. Chen Yuqiu even asked him to keep an eye on it. So many people are matchmaking recently. Not thinking too much, he turned and headed straight for the Dragon Rising path. To avoid trouble, he wore the mask of the number 1 shadow guard and rushed in, going all the way up. When he reached the 9th floor, suddenly, he heard strange low cries near his ear. "Jiang Fan, I'll kill you. I'll carve you into pieces. I'll cut you to death." Frightened, he quickly retreated from the illusion realm. Staring closely, he saw Xu Yining standing on the 9th floor with a tear-stricken face, slaughtering Chen Zhengdao's projection in the illusion realm. But she kept muttering Jiang Fan's name. She must be insane, Jiang Fan thought, covering his forehead with black lines. Chen Zhengdao's projection was not something easily broken. Soon, she was defeated and thrown out. Her eyes were red as she prepared to rush back in to continue the battle, but then she noticed someone standing beside her. Turning her head, she saw the mask with the character, 1, engraved on it. She immediately showed a look of surprise. Then she realized what she had just been muttering and blushed. "Did you hear everything?" Jiang Fan's mouth twitched. He wasn't deaf. "I won't interfere with your matters," he said casually. Xu Yining hurriedly explained, "There's nothing between him and me, don't misunderstand." She was so nervous that she didn't know what to say. Being able to meet the number 1 shadow guard again was beyond her expectations. But meeting in such a way was truly embarrassing. Looking at her tear-stricken face, Jiang Fan thought deeply, "Do you want to cultivate a movement technique?" Since obtaining that jade bead, he had explored its cultivation technique, as well as the astonishing discoveries under the statue. He felt somewhat guilty. These were all actually left by that master for Xu Yining. Yet, he had taken them all. Why not teach her a movement technique to make up for it? Xu Yining's face turned red in an instant. You teach me a movement technique? Really? Jiang Fan didn't say much. He grabbed her hand and closed his eyes. Xu Yining's heart instantly sped up, her face turning rosy, and her red lips pressed tightly in embarrassment. She also closed her eyes. Both of them entered the illusion realm where Chen Zhengdao was. Jiang Fan said, I want to teach you the solitary wild goose shadow. It's quite challenging, you should watch and learn carefully. He taught her hand in hand. Xu Yining had good comprehension, and after half a day, she showed progress. You finish this part. I'll come back tomorrow to continue teaching you. After saying this, he went to the 12th floor to challenge. The projections here were even stronger. Of the same foundation establishment third layer, they completely overpowered Jiang Fan. After barely over 100 moves, he was defeated. Of course, this was due to Jiang Fan intentionally not using the purple sword or his movement technique. He only used the wandering dragon palm, constantly honing his palm technique. By dusk, he walked back with a tired body. Passing by the treasure pavilion, he saw a sign recruiting apprentice soul masters, and remembered an important promise he had forgotten. He immediately went to the Chen family. Of course, he didn't forget to change his clothes. Soon, at the Chen family's backyard, Chen Silin respectfully said, Senior, all the apprentices we recruited that meet the criteria are here. Jiang Fan looked at each of them one by one. When his eyes fell on an elder with a neat and tidy appearance and a kind face, he paused slightly. He felt that this old man looked somewhat familiar. What's your name? Jiang Fan asked. Qin Wenyuan showed a respectful look and smiled, reporting to the Lord, my name is Huang Wenyuan. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 71 Offending the Person Who Shouldn't Be Offended. Huang Wenyuan. Jiang Fan pondered over the name. In his memory, he didn't know this person. Why did it seem familiar? Never mind, forget it. Which of these people do you prefer? Jiang Fan asked. Chen Silin pointed at Huang Wenyuan. This old gentleman once worked for several years as an apprentice to a soul master in another place. He is very familiar with various materials and also understands the alchemy process well. Jiang Fan nodded. All right, you come over here, I'll teach you first. Huang Wenyuan repeatedly cupped his hands, his face full of joy. Thank you, sir, thank you, sir. But he was sneering inwardly. He wanted to see what kind of great person the Chen family had invited. Want to cut off the Qin family's lifeline. He'd first have to see if Qin Wenyuan agreed. Jiang Fan said, the reason ordinary people can't become soul masters is that their souls are not strong enough. But according to my method, you can use weak soul power to crudely purify materials to achieve the purpose of refining low-grade qi cultivation liquid. Huang Wenyuan outwardly appeared respectful. I respectfully listened to the elder's guidance. Jiang Fan nodded and began teaching Huang Wenyuan using the methods from the Taiyan soul technique. Not long after. Continue your journey with novel bin. Calm. Jiang Fan was slightly surprised. You've grasped it so quickly. Seeing Huang Wenyuan skillfully refine a bottle of low-grade qi cultivation liquid, he couldn't help but be amazed. You have a natural talent for alchemy. Huang Wenyuan forced a smile. My talent is average, it's just that a soul master apprentice can easily achieve this. Honestly, what you taught is not as good as what I learned before. As soon as he said this, the other candidates all cast doubtful looks at Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan heard the provocation in his words and slightly narrowed his eyes. It seems you are not very convinced by me. Huang Wenyuan cupped his hands and said, as the saying goes, seeing is believing. I haven't seen your prowess, so how can I be convinced? He found it impossible to believe that a small place like Lonely Boat City would have a 3-star soul master residing in it. Such a person, wouldn't they all be influential figures? Why stay in Lonely Boat City and train soul master apprentices for the Chen family? Jiang Fan glanced at him and then at the restless candidates, then said indifferently, very well, I shall refine a bottle of qi cultivation liquid. Huang Wenyuan had a smirk on his face. This was the moment he had been waiting for. He intended to use his decades of professional knowledge to find fault with Jiang Fan. If this person was not as good as him, he wouldn't hesitate to humiliate him, making it impossible for him to continue. If he was slightly better than himself, that was also fine. Every soul master had their own bad habits. He would find faults and criticize the person until the plan to train soul master apprentices fell apart. Jiang Fan didn't waste words. He proficiently picked up the materials. At his current level, he had reached the pinnacle of skill. He didn't even need a pill furnace, starting the purification directly in his palm. Seeing this, Huang Wenyuan laughed out loud. No pill furnace, and you call this alchemy? Alchemy, alchemy. At least you need a vessel for alchemy, right? Refining directly in the palm. This was unheard of. The dust, smells, sweat, and so on from the hands would all affect the effectiveness of the materials, ultimately leading to a downgrade in the qi cultivation liquid's grade, possibly resulting in a direct failure. The fact that this person was refining qi cultivation liquid with his hand made Huang Wenyuan relax. What great person! Just a fraud who deceived the world. He knew nothing of alchemy. But gradually, Huang Wenyuan could no longer laugh. He saw the materials in Jiang Fan's hand gradually become transparent, like an ice sculpture. As the spiritual power in his palm vibrated, the transparent materials shattered into fragments. The juice inside was squeezed out and dripped, while the residue was blown away. Jiang Fan picked up a jade bottle with his other hand, casually and quickly collecting all the juice. In a moment, a bottle of exceptionally clear qi cultivation liquid without any impurities appeared. Huang Wenyuan took a sharp breath. Top-grade qi cultivation liquid. This can only be refined by a 4-star soul master. It turned out the person in front of him was not just a 3-star soul master. He was actually a 4-star soul master. Only now did he understand. The other person didn't use a pill furnace. Not because he didn't know alchemy, but because for low-level liquids like qi cultivation liquid, he didn't need a pill furnace. Even using his bare hands, it was top grade. Jiang Fan glanced at him indifferently. Any more questions? Huang Wenyuan's body trembled. The person in front of him was a 4-star soul master, a 4-star. Such a supreme existence was not even found in the heavenly mechanism pavilion. What qualification did he have to encounter such a sacred being? Immediately, he knelt to the ground with a thud. Junior pays respects to the elder. Jiang Fan then looked at the other candidates. What about you? Any doubts? With a bottle of top-grade qi cultivation liquid in front of them, who dared doubt his ability? Even Chen Silan's eyes widened in amazement. Jiang Fan had always provided the Chen family with top-grade qi cultivation liquid, making them think he was a 3-star soul master. In truth, he had hidden his true strength. This made her even more respectful in her heart. Yoren is truly lucky, by chance she found such a husband. She sighed softly, then thought about her upcoming blind date, her eyes dimmed. From then on, things became much simpler. With his guidance, the candidates quickly got the hang of it. Huang Wenyuan humbly stood aside, serving respectfully as a disciple, assisting Jiang Fan in teaching the other candidates. Unintentionally, Huang Wenyuan noticed a long sword strapped to Jiang Fan's back. The whole sword was wrapped tightly in cloth strips. Only one section had a gap. He saw a strange purple light emanating from it. A sword with purple light. Bang! Huang Wenyuan's mind exploded. He instantly thought of the 3-star soul master in Cloud Floating Cave who had refined a top-grade pulse-extending pill for him. It was him. The person who saved him was the elder in front of him. I should have figured it out earlier. Lonely Boat City wouldn't have so many 3-star and 4-star soul masters. They were all the same person. Thinking about Jiang Fan's 18-year-old face, Huang Wenyuan was even more admiring and in awe. At such a young age, he had such great skills. Given time, wouldn't his achievements be unmatched? By nightfall, Jiang Fan had finished instructing them all and said, "In the future, you will all follow the Chen family's arrangements. If there's anything you don't understand, I'll come back to guide you." With that, he left in a huff. Huang Wenyuan quickly bent at the waist, serving him until he left the Chen family and disappeared into the vast crowd. This scene, Left Qin Changsheng, who had been secretly observing outside the Chen family's gate, dumbfounded. Grandpa, what are you doing? Huang Wenyuan. Should be Qin Wenyuan. Then he straightened up and sighed, can't you see? Naturally, I am serving the elder. What? Qin Changsheng was shocked. Grandpa, weren't you going to teach this person a lesson? Why are you now his junior instead? Qin Wenyuan's old face turned red, then he scolded, you idiot. I haven't dealt with you yet. I just inquired discreetly with the Chen family, this 4-star Soul Master Supreme helped the Chen family all because you offended him. So he helped the Chen family to bring down our Qin family. You wretched fool, I've told you to make friends and never offend anyone. And you went and offended the one person you shouldn't have. Pack up and move overnight, our Qin family can no longer stay in Lonely Boat City. Thinking about his family offending a 4-star Soul Master, he felt nothing but cold all over. Not daring to stay in Lonely Boat City for another moment. Qin Changsheng was at a loss, I haven't offended anyone. Instantly, he thought of Jiang Fan. But Jiang Fan was just a nobody, not related to a 4-star Soul Master. Thinking of him, Qin Changsheng's eyes turned fierce. Grandpa, can we teach Jiang Fan a lesson before we leave? He exaggerated the fact that Jiang Fan had injured Qin family members. When he finished, Qin Wenyuan snorted, even if our Qin family is in decline, we won't be bullied by a Xu family's son-in-law. First go back and pack up, then we'll settle accounts with him. Chapter 72, Despicable. The next day, Jiang Fan went to the Dragon Rising Path again to refine his movement technique. Xu Yining had been waiting for a long time, her fair cheeks tinged with a faint blush, her eyes holding a trace of expectation and shyness. Let's go in, Jiang Fan said expressionlessly. Continuing to teach her the movement technique within Chen Zhengdao's projection. After half a day, having guided her for the most part, he entered the 12th layer to cultivate the Wandering Dragon Palm. After 2 days of training, his first layer was approaching perfection. With one more day of refinement, it would be completed. He was eager to see if, upon reaching great success, he could have a match with Zhang Qizhan. To see just how powerful the Wandering Dragon Palm truly was. Dragging his exhausted body home, he saw from afar a graceful figure, holding a dim lantern, waiting for his return. Yoren. Jiang Fan looked around to ensure no one was present, then affectionately put his arm around her shoulder. Xu Yoren's expression was complicated as she said, Chen Silan came by. Jiang Fan let out a sound. She must have come to congratulate Xu Yoren on becoming elder Li Qingfeng's disciple. She was looking for you, Xu Yoren said, her eyes filled with resentment. Huh? Jiang Fan was taken aback, looking for me. Xu Yoren replied, when did you two become so close? She needed you to vet her suitor. So it was about this matter. Jiang Fan explained, half true, it was the Chen family master's request. I once helped him, so he finds me reliable. So it was arranged by Chen Silan's father. Xu Yoren's mood improved, and she said, no wonder, you are now at the 3rd layer of foundation establishment, one of the top experts in Lonely Boat City. Having you vet someone is reasonable. After a moment of thought, she added, I'll go with you tomorrow. I also want to see what Chen Silan's fiancé is like, and if he is more outstanding than you. This needs comparing too. A woman's competitive spirit knows no bounds. At dawn, Jiang Fan and Xu Yoren headed to the Chen family. On the way, they passed a shop selling high-end gifts. Since it's an invitation from the Chen family master, it would be impolite to go empty-handed. Xu Yoren stopped the carriage. You wait here in the carriage, I'll go buy some gifts. She wore a green outfit, simple yet elegant, like a summer lotus leaf, brightening the eyes. Her fair skin and stunning beauty attracted the gazes of the shop's patrons. Oh, junior sister Yoren. Xu Yoren looked up and saw it was Li Qingfeng's disciple. And Jiang Fan's upcoming challenger, Zhang Qizhan. Jiang Fan's entry into the Green Cloud sect depended on their duel. She dared not neglect the matter, and politely greeted, Senior Brother Zhang. Seeing her gentle demeanor, Zhang Qizhan's face was full of ardor. He stepped forward and grasped her hand. Junior sister Yoren, no need for such formality. Startled, Xu Yoren quickly pulled away just before he could touch her, a hint of panic on her face. Senior brother Jiang, men and women should not touch, and moreover, I am already betrothed. Jiang Qijian's expression immediately turned displeased, and he said, to that Jiang Fan. He's just useless trash. Junior sister, you are so exceptionally beautiful, don't you feel wrong marrying him? I heard you were forced. How about this, I will stand up for you and break the engagement. As he spoke, he approached again. Hearing his insults, Xu Yining felt disgusted but had to endure, as Jiang Fan's fate depended on this man. Reluctantly holding back her anger, she whispered, Senior brother, Jiang Fan and I are truly in love, there's no talk of wrongs or rights. Please, don't say such things again. Jiang Qijian squinted, becoming somewhat impatient. Junior sister, to be honest, I fell in love with you at first sight. Coincidentally, I need a partner in the sect. Would you be willing? What? Knowing she had a fiancé, he still made such an absurd request. Furious, she turned to leave. I have matters to attend to, I bid you farewell. Not wanting to spend another moment with Jiang Qijian. Unexpectedly, Jiang Qijian coldly threatened, do you want Jiang Fan to pass the assessment or not? His entry to the Green Cloud sect is entirely in my hands. If I go easy on him, perhaps he can pass. If I'm serious, do you think he can survive 10 of my moves? This. Xu Yining abruptly stopped, looking at him angrily. Senior brother Jiang, what exactly do you want? Jiang Qijian's gaze roamed over her captivating figure heatedly. Come with me now and have some fun. I promised to go easy on Jiang Fan. He played a word game. He promised to go easy but didn't guarantee Jiang Fan would pass the assessment. Feeling deeply insulted, Xu Yining wanted to leave. Jiang Qijian coldly snorted, try taking one step out of this shop, and I'll immediately crush Jiang Fan's hopes. Xu Yining walked to the shop's entrance. Yet, she didn't dare step outside. Seeing the beauty he had frightened into hesitation, Jiang Qijian's lustful rage surged. Smiling, he stepped forward, extending his hands to embrace Xu Yining from behind. But suddenly, Xu Yining stumbled forward, his hands grasping at thin air. Upon closer inspection, it turned out Jiang Fan had swiftly pulled Xu Yining into his arms. Simultaneously, he kicked a spiky fruit into Jiang Qijian's hands. Ouch! Missing his target, Jiang Qijian's hands were pricked, causing him to hiss in pain. You! Jiang Qijian angrily pulled out the thorns. The sharp thorns drew several drops of blood. Jiang Fan narrowed his eyes, writing, I don't know about your skills, but you certainly are despicable. Jiang Qijian snorted, who do you think you are to judge me? Don't forget, your fate is in my hands. Kneel and apologize now, and I might consider going easy during the duel, or else. Jiang Fan was unafraid, writing, then don't go easy. Winning that way would be meaningless. Jiang Qijian fumed with anger. Laughing furiously, all right, as you say, don't blame me for defeating you with one move. Jiang Fan turned his back on him, holding Xu Yining as they left. Discover exclusive tales on novel.com. At the Chen family, their arrival was warmly welcomed by Chen Yuqiu. Only Chen Silin remained restless, sighing continuously. Especially seeing Jiang Fan and Xu Yining seated together, a perfect match, she felt even more dejected. Chen Yuqiu, noticing her feelings, said, fate brings people together and separates them. Don't force what isn't meant to be. Your other half is not bad either. A Green Cloud sect intersect disciple, Elder Li's cherished student, from a prominent family in Biliu City, well matched with you. Though these words made sense, Chen Silin felt bitter. She understood she wasn't a match for Jiang Fan. However, people always compare. If Jiang Fan's fiancé were an unparalleled beauty she could admire, she would accept it. But it had to be her good friend, Xu Yining, who once lived a life far less than her own. She could only hope Jiang Qijian was not too inferior to Jiang Fan. At this moment, the steward led a person in confidently. Master, young Master Jiang has arrived. Jiang Fan straightened immediately, curious about the newcomer. The Chen family had a deep foundation, a vast estate. Chen Silin, pure and outstanding, with a keen business mind, was both beautiful and intelligent. Her fiancé must be exceptionally brilliant as well. But at first glance, he froze. Beside him, Xu Yining was equally astonished. Chapter 73, I do not agree with this marriage. But the visitor was none other than It was Zhang Qian. He stepped into the hall with a warm smile, carrying a heavy chest of gifts. Uncle Chen, Auntie. Seeing the handsome Zhang Qian, Chen Yuqiu nodded with satisfaction. Lu Qimen was delighted. I told you, young Master Zhang is excellent, didn't I? Handsome and courteous, he looks like a gentleman. And his family background, cultivation, and sector all top-notch choices. Zhang Qian feigned modesty. Uncle, Auntie, you're too kind, may I ask which one is Xiling? He followed Lu Qimen's gaze. A beautiful young girl in a pink dress with a pear blossom hairpin, her black hair cascading like a waterfall, appeared before him. Her delicate and beautiful face, her flawless, dewy skin, and the enticing curves that even the dress couldn't hide, all made Zhang Qian's eyes light up. He had originally been resistant to this marriage proposal. Now, he wished he could accept it right away. Such a beautiful woman was hard to find. Lu Qimen asked expectantly, Young Master Zhang, what do you think of my daughter? Zhang Qian swallowed a breath of saliva and did not spare any praise. Xiling is a beauty, gentle and quiet, I like her very much. In his heart, he didn't believe the Chen family was worthy of him. Who was he? A disciple of Green Cloud Peak with endless future potential. Such a humble Chen family, worthy of marrying me. But if the Chen family offered such a beautiful daughter for him to have fun with for a few days, why not? Once he was bored, he could just kick her away. What would the Chen family dare do to him? Hearing such an evaluation, Lu Qimen was secretly pleased, knowing that the marriage could be settled. As for Chen Xiling's opinion, she ignored it completely. In a large family like the Chen family, children's marriages were not up to them. She signaled to Chen Yuqiu to step forward and make the decision. Chen Yuqiu looked at Chen Xiling with a guilty expression. Seeing her head lowered, her red lips tightly bitten, unable to make a decision. He turned to Jiang Fan and said, Young Master Jiang, what do you think? Before making a decision, let's see what Jiang Fan had to say first. If Jiang Fan acknowledged this person is worthy of a lifetime commitment, then Chen Xiling might give up. Lu Qimen frowned slightly, not understanding why the head of the family had invited Jiang Fan to be a judge. He was just an in-law of the Xu family, did he have such an important role? She said without expression, Young Master Jiang, please judge fairly, do not cause trouble because of any personal connection with my daughter. If judged fairly, she was confident that Zhang Qian would pass. Such an outstanding person, how could Jiang Fan find any fault? Chen Xiling, however, raised her head, biting her red lips slightly, looking at Jiang Fan with pleading eyes. Unfortunately, Jiang Fan disappointed her. He calmly wrote a note, I will evaluate impartially and objectively. At this moment, Zhang Qian finally noticed Jiang Fan and Xu Yining. He was taken aback. Jiang Fan. Why are you here? Chen Yuqiu looked at the two in surprise and asked, What, does young Master Zhang know young Master Jiang? Panicking inside, Zhang Qian quickly spoke before Jiang Fan could. I met him once when I accompanied my master to the Xu family. He gave Jiang Fan a vicious glare without leaving any trace, meaning for him to shut up and not say anything. Then he asked with a face of curiosity, Uncle Chen, isn't today my and Xiling's matchmaking day? Why was he invited? Since he asked, Chen Yuqiu did not hide it. Young Master Jiang, having met countless people, has extraordinary skills, I invited him to judge on Xiling's behalf. To see if Xiling's matchmaking partner is truly a perfect match. What? Jiang Fan was the judge for this matchmaking. His face turned increasingly panicked, deeply regretting. Had I known this, why did I tease Xu Yining just now and make an enemy of her? Chen Yuqiu, unaware of his changed expression, patted him on the shoulder with a smile. But you are so outstanding, young Master Jiang couldn't praise you enough. Right, young Master Jiang. Jiang Fan smiled slightly. He wrote a note, appearance, cultivation, family background, sect, all impeccable, all first class. Seeing such an evaluation, Chen Yuqiu nodded slightly. As expected, Lu Qimen's face lit up with joy, thinking, at least this so-called Jiang Fan knew his place, not to spoil the Chen family's good fortune. Chen Xiling's delicate body shivered, her rosy cheeks visibly turning ashen, her eyes hollow and vacant. She felt only despair. The only chance of overturning the situation was ruthlessly extinguished by Jiang Fan. This felt like a stab to her heart, unbearably painful. An anxious Jiang Fan exhaled a sigh of relief, giving Jiang Fan a contemptuous glance, inwardly saying, "Worthless, I knew you didn't dare to oppose me. But if you think I'll let you off like this, unless you sensibly send Xu Yining to my bed, let me have enough fun, otherwise don't think I'll go easy on you in the competition." Chen Yuqiu laughed and spoke. Since young Master Jiang said. But, he suddenly stopped. Because Jiang Fan had produced another note, which left everyone stunned. However, his character is extremely poor, truly a scumbag. Xu Yining, who had been holding her breath, finally released it. She had truly thought Jiang Fan gave a passing evaluation. As her best friend, she didn't want to see Chen Xiling be harmed by a despicable scum. Chen Xiling's hollow eyes gradually refocused, her face rapidly brightening with joy. She cast Jiang Fan a deeply grateful look. Lu Qimin's face darkened, saying, "Young Master Jiang, what do you mean by this?" Just when things were about to succeed, Jiang Fan suddenly played this card. Jiang Fan expressionlessly wrote, exactly as written. In summary, Jiang Fan is impressive on the outside but rotten within. If you marry Chen Xiling to him, it will ruin her life. Chen Yuqiu was stunned. He knew Jiang Fan's identity. As a distinguished 3-star soul master, his status was assured, he had no reason to slander a stranger. He looked at Jiang Fan with a more skeptical gaze. Lu Qimin couldn't accept it. "You're lying. Jiang Fan's reputation in Biliu City is well known, how could he be so disreputable according to you? Young Master Jiang, it's better to destroy 10 monasteries than ruin one marriage, don't slander so casually." Jiang Fan couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. He wrote, "Slander. Mrs. Chen, why not ask in a certain shop on the street, how the bridegroom of your eyes teased my wife, insulted my wife. Even threatening me to force my wife into compliance. Such a person, would you still want him?" "What?" Chen Yuqiu exclaimed, "is this true?" Xu Yining stood up, her face angry but reverent. "Uncle Chen, if you do not believe Fan, you should believe in my character. I swear on my honor, everything Fan said is the absolute truth." Now Lu Qimin was shocked too. As her daughter's only best friend, Lu Qimin knew Xu Yining's character all too well. Well-educated, gentle and pure, she would never stoop to lying. Never, especially on matters concerning one's integrity and morality. Xu Yining added, "If you still do not trust me, you may summon the shopkeeper and the clerk to form an open confrontation." With words said to this extent, what else could be doubted? Chen Yuqiu was enraged. "Young Master Jiang, while matchmaking you still tease other women. What do you take my daughter for? What do you take my Chen family for? This marriage, let's drop it. Show him out." Lu Qimin stared at Jiang Fan with disappointment. "You let me down too much, leave and never come back to our Chen family." Jiang Fan could never have imagined. The marriage he had almost secured was destroyed by Jiang Fan. He had intended to block Jiang Fan's path to joining the Green Cloud sect. But his own marriage was interrupted by Jiang Fan first. "Wait!" Jiang Fan suddenly shouted, pushing away approaching servants. He glared at Chen Yuqiu angrily, "It's not over yet." Chapter 74 Xiling, you play the baby. Chen Yuqiu said furiously, "Do you still want to act recklessly in my Chen family?" Not driving him away was already being very polite, considering their family's friendship. HMPH. Jiang Fan snorted through his nostrils, folded his hands behind his back, and said, "Chen family, have you forgotten my status? Green Cloud sect, inner sect disciple. As long as I spread the word, whoever dares to marry Chen Xiling will be my enemy. Do you think anyone else would dare to marry your daughter?" Chen Yuqiu and Lu Qimin's faces changed dramatically. The status of an inner sect disciple of the Green Cloud sect carried significant weight. Even a city lord dared not offend them, let alone an ordinary family. If he really spread such a word, who would dare to marry her? Chen Xiling would likely be alone for the rest of her life because of this. "You despicable man," Xu Yining exclaimed angrily, "can't get it, so you want to destroy it." Jiang Fan argued shamelessly, "It was the Chen family who first insulted me. They actually handed my marriage over to a worthless person to decide. Isn't this slapping my face?" He coldly glared at Chen Yuqiu and said, "You have only two choices. Either let Chen Silin accompany me for a few days, and once I get tired of her, I'll naturally let her go, and she can marry whoever she wants afterward. Or, make sure she never gets married for the rest of her life. Xu Yining was trembling with rage. How could there be such a shameless person in this world? She was very grateful that Jiang Fan had ended this engagement, otherwise, Chen Silin's life would have been ruined. But if Jiang Qizhan really carried this out, Chen Silin's later life would still be destroyed. At her young and beautiful age, would she really be ruined by someone like Jiang Qizhan? Seeing Chen Silin crying with sorrow but helpless, Xu Yining felt heartbroken. All these years, it was Chen Silin who had been taking care of her. Otherwise, her own situation would have been even more difficult. Suddenly, an idea struck her. She looked at Jiang Fan and then at Chen Silin. After thinking for a moment, she bit her lip slightly and said, "Who said no one dares to marry Silin?" Under Chen Silin's puzzled gaze, Xu Yining grabbed Jiang Fan's arm and pulled him up, saying, "Jiang Fan, you marry Chen Silin." Ah! Jiang Fan was bewildered and wrote, "Yining, what nonsense are you talking?" The abrupt words left him completely at a loss. But Xu Yining bit her red lips slightly, her expression complicated, and said, "It's not nonsense, I have thought about it seriously for a long time." She looked at Jiang Fan sorrowfully, filled with reluctance. "If I am forced to go to the Green Cloud sect, and you fail the assessment, someone needs to take care of you. And it just so happens that Silin has feelings for you, I believe she will treat you well for me." She had thought about it for a long time. When the day came to leave, even if she didn't want to part with Jiang Fan, she might still be forcibly taken away by Li Qingfeng. If that happened, Jiang Fan would be left alone, lonely. It would be better to take today's opportunity to fulfill Chen Silin. Jiang Fan wrote in astonishment, "But what if I can also go to the Green Cloud sect? If we give her a title now, how will she marry someone else in the future? By doing this, you are still harming her. This won't do." Xu Yining's eyebrows slightly arched. From Jiang Qizhan's malice towards Jiang Fan, it was impossible for him to ease up. The possibility of Jiang Fan passing the assessment was very slim. But even if there was a slim chance, she had to prepare for it, so she looked at Chen Silin with an inquiring gaze and said, "Siling, if Jiang Fan and I got married, would you still be willing?" She suddenly found it hard to say. To let the only daughter of the Chen family, such a beautiful and intelligent woman, become Jiang Fan's concubine. Wasn't this an insult to her? Not to mention that Chen Silin would never agree. Even the Chen family head could never agree. I am willing." What stunned Xu Yining was that Chen Silin's face was as red as the evening glow, and her watery eyes were filled with shy mist. She bashfully turned her face away, her voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. Xu Yining was taken aback. "Siling, do you understand what I mean? I am asking you to be a concubine." Chen Silin's snowy cheeks turned even redder, and she shamefully said, "I understand, I am willing." Ah! Xu Yining opened her mouth in surprise. Willing to be a concubine. She looked back at Jiang Fan, muttering, "What on earth does Silin see in you? She is even willing to be so aggrieved." She couldn't understand no matter how much she thought about it. Jiang Qizhan sneered as he heard this, "Junior sister, you are too naive. How could a big family like the Chen family allow their only daughter to be a concubine? What use is it if you and Chen Silin agree? The head of the Chen family must agree. In my opinion, it's better to honestly let Chen Silin." His words were suddenly interrupted. Chen Yucho's eyes lit up, and he said with surprise and delight, "Yining, can you make the decision?" Who was Jiang Fan? A 3-star soul master. In the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, he was an extraordinary figure. If the Chen family's daughter could become the woman of such a person, that would be a great blessing. No, it's as if the ancestral tomb is smoking. No, it's on fire. A fire that couldn't be put out. He had never even dared to think about it before, but now this great fortune suddenly fell upon him. But he didn't know Jiang Fan's attitude. Upon hearing this, Jiang Fan lifted his pen to write something, but Xu Yining snatched the pen away and gently scolded him with her eyes. "Siling is in trouble, why shouldn't you help?" This left Jiang Fan anxious. Xu Yining ignored him and said to Chen Yucho, "Uncle Chen, since I will be Jiang Fan's future wife, the matter of taking a concubine is naturally my decision. As long as you agree, then there is no problem on my end." According to the custom, the legal wife had the right to decide her husband's concubine's matter. Since she agreed, it meant that the matter was settled. Chen Yuqiu was overjoyed and knelt down excitedly. On behalf of the entire Chen family, and the ancestors of the Chen family, I thank Miss Xu for your great kindness. Ah! The grand gesture startled Xu Yining, and she hurriedly helped him up. Uncle Chen, are you trying to frighten Yoren? She was just saving Chen Silin. Was it necessary to involve the ancestors? How could she know that her decision tied the Chen family to a 3-star soul master? From now on, they would leap through the dragon gate and rise to prosperity. Chen Yuqiu remained excited and couldn't calm down. Next to him, Lu Qimin was filled with mixed feelings and pinched Chen Yuqiu's waist, complaining. To let their daughter be a concubine, and he was this happy. Even if they had no choice, they couldn't do this. How could this befit their daughter's dignity? Chen Yuqiu thought since they were now family with Jiang Fan, he whispered the reason. Jiang Fan is the 3-star soul master of our Chen family. What? Lu Qimin was so shocked she exclaimed, he is. Shish. It's a secret. Chen Yuqiu quickly stopped her. Only then did Lu Qimin quickly shut her mouth, looking at Jiang Fan with great joy. She was overjoyed and held Xu Yining's hand. Yoren, Auntie thank you so much. You are simply a great benefactor of our Chen family. Let me also bow to you. Xu Yining hurriedly helped her up, panicking. Her head was filled with question marks. What was wrong with the Chen family couple? Did she do something incredible? Why were they giving her such a grand gesture? After calming them down, she announced, then it's settled. From now on, Chen Silin will be my husband Jiang Fan's concubine. Immediately, she looked at Zhang Qizhan and said, can you give up now? Zhang Qizhan's chest heaved with unbounded anger. He felt deeply humiliated and shouted, the Chen family would rather let their daughter become a concubine than fulfill my wish. In your eyes, am I not even as good as a worthless person? This is an insult to me and also an insult to the Zhang family. You all just wait for my father to come and seek justice. After speaking, he stormed off angrily. Jiang Fan was speechless. Chen Silin went on a blind date, and how did it turn out that she became my concubine? I was just here to oversee it, right? But things had developed to this point, and it could only be settled this way. After thinking for a moment, he took out his last transcend mortality pill, along with some top-grade qi cultivation liquid, and that high-level yellow-grade mental method book. Since you and I now have a title, these items are for you. Take them quickly, and then ask Elder Li Qingfeng to test your spirit root, to see if you can also enter the Green Cloud sect. Chen Silin didn't even look closely at what they were, blushing as she took them. Jiang Fan also felt uneasy. At this time, a servant suddenly reported, Young Master Jiang. Young Master Jiang. The Xu family master asks you to return quickly. The Qin family has come calling, demanding an explanation from you. Chapter 75 The Qin family finds trouble. Upon hearing this, Chen Yuqiu's face turned serious, and she said, Young Master Jiang, I'll go with you. I heard that the old master of the Qin family, Qin Wenyuan, has returned. He's a ruthless character. Although Jiang Fan was a 3-star soul master, his cultivation might not be as strong as theirs. If they fought head-on, Jiang Fan might suffer a loss. Jiang Fan frowned. Qin Wenyuan. Why is his name so similar to Huang Wenyuan's? No need, I can handle it myself. Jiang Fan waved his hand and immediately rushed back to the Xu family with Xu Yining. The Chen family was still unaware that he had broken through to the Foundation establishment 3rd layer. If they knew, they wouldn't have this worry. Outside the main gate, Xu Yining had been waiting for a long time, and upon seeing Jiang Fan, she wanted to complain a bit. But thinking about it, it was the Qin family who had caused trouble first, and Jiang Fan had injured so many from the Qin family for the sake of the Xu family. She could only look worried. Old Master Qin Wenyuan is a 1-star Soul Master certified by the Soul Master Association and the Soul Pavilion. Even the elders of the Green Cloud sect have to show him some respect. Although we were forced to fight back, how could old Master Qin reason with us? Xu Yining was also worried, her brows furrowed. If this matter can't be resolved, how can we peacefully go to the Green Cloud sect? Jiang Fan's face couldn't help but show a chilly expression. A 1-star soul master. He lifted his brush and wrote, I want to see what explanation he wants from me. After saying that, he stepped into the mansion. In the main hall, Xu Yining obediently stood in the hall. Qin Wenyuan sat grandly on the family head's seat, holding a cup of tea, sipping it slowly. Jiang Fan isn't back yet? He asked with an imposing aura. Xu Yining, with a bitter face, replied, Old Master Qin, all the faults are mine. If you want to punish, punish me. Please spare Jiang Fan, he's just a child. Smack. Upon hearing this, Qin Changsheng stepped forward and slapped him across the face. Xu Yining's cultivation was higher than his, and he could have dodged it. But in front of Qin Wenyuan, he didn't dare to dodge at all, letting the slap land on his face. A child. Qin Changsheng furiously pointed to his broken arm. Did he look like a child when he broke my arm? I'm telling you, if Jiang Fan doesn't give the Qin family an explanation today, I will flatten the Xu family. The clan leader being slapped in public. As clan members, who wouldn't be angry, who wouldn't hate? But with the formidable presence of Qin Wenyuan, their anger could only be swallowed in silence. Allowing the Qin family to be arrogant. Among the clan members, Wang Yingfeng regretted deeply. What kind of sin did she commit to invite this plague, Lu Zheng, into the Xu family? Bringing destruction upon the Xu family time and time again. If it weren't for Jiang Fan holding the fort, the Xu family would have been finished long ago. But this time they were facing a soul master. How could Jiang Fan withstand the pressure? Chirp. The sound of a flying bird was heard. Li Qingfeng came asking while riding a flying bird. After all, the Xu family was the family of his two disciples. Since he, the master, was nearby, he couldn't pretend not to see it. Qin Wenyuan's gray eyebrows twitched, and he quickly stepped forward. He cupped his hands and said, Elder Li. Li Qingfeng dismounted and kept a few degrees of courtesy. Master Qin, no need to be so polite. Since you have returned in triumph, our Green Cloud sect should have paid you a visit. The status of a soul master far surpassed that of ordinary people. Even a one-star soul master held a transcendent status in the Green Cloud sect. As an elder, Li Qingfeng was also courteous. Qin Wenyuan knew his intention and said, Elder Li, you have come to mediate the conflict, haven't you? Li Qingfeng smiled and said, it's better to resolve enmities than to make them. Could you give me some face and let both sides end this matter here? Seeing him arrive, the Xu family members were secretly overjoyed. With Elder Li stepping in, today's matter was undoubtedly settled. Xu Yining also breathed a sigh of relief. Luckily, Elder Li was in the city. Otherwise, today's matter would be hard to resolve peacefully. However, Qin Wenyuan's face showed a hint of annoyance. Elder Li, it's not that I don't give you face, but the Xu family has gone too far. Back in the days, I made quite a few contributions to Lonely Boat City. But during my decade-long absence, the Xu family has injured and crippled my Qin family members. If I don't vent this anger, I would be ashamed to face the ancestors of the Qin family. Seeing Li Qingfeng's displeasure, he sighed. However, since it's Elder Li personally pleading, I'll take a step back. Every debt has a debtor. Since Jiang Fan is the main culprit, we'll only hold him accountable. It has nothing to do with the rest of the Xu family. The members of the Xu family were secretly overjoyed. Not implicating the Xu family was already Qin Wenyuan showing great respect. This was the best result. Li Qingfeng showed a faint smile. Master Qin is benevolent. I thank you on behalf of the Xu family. Only Xu Yining. His heart sank. He said, Elder Li, could you also help Jiang Fan? The Qin family directing all their rage at Jiang Fan. One could only imagine the price they would demand. Li Qingfeng frowned. He didn't care about Jiang Fan's life or death, and if he became crippled, it would be better as he wouldn't join the Green Cloud sect. That way, he wouldn't be a burden to his beloved disciple, Xu Yining. With a serious expression, he said, Xu family master, I have already done my best. Although Jiang Fan is young, he should bear the consequences of his own actions. Experiencing this will also make him grow. It might not be a bad thing for him. Qin Wenyuan snorted with an imposing aura. Xu Yining, you should be content. If it weren't for Elder Li, your Xu family wouldn't escape the crime of harboring a criminal today. Many clan members persuaded Xu Yining not to anger the two important figures anymore. Otherwise, in a fit of rage, if Qin Wenyuan withdrew his promise, the Xu family would be implicated as well. But Xu Zhengyan couldn't bear it. Obviously, it was because of the Xu family that they provoked the Qin family. As he was speaking, a tall and straight figure quickly walked in from outside the door. Who else could it be but Jiang Fan? Seeing him, Xu Zhengyan felt deeply guilty. Fan, our Xu family has wronged you. The other clan members also hung their heads in shame. They dared not look Jiang Fan in the eye. Jiang Fan's eyes were calm as he glanced around at the Qin family, and with a cold gaze, he lifted his brush and wrote. Last time I spared you dogs' lives, this time you're ignorant of life and death and come seeking death again, aren't you? As soon as the note was out, the Qin family members were in an uproar. Qin Changsheng laughed angrily. Bastard. Do you even realize the situation and still dare to spew such nonsense? I'm telling you, if you don't give the Qin family a satisfactory explanation today, you won't leave here alive. Li Qingfeng also frowned slightly. Reading Jiang Fan's note, he could only shake his head. Young man, be less arrogant and more humble, and you wouldn't be in today's predicament. Kneel down and apologize to Master Qin quickly, and you might still have some room for negotiation. Otherwise, even I can't save you today. Master Qin. Qin Wenyuan. Jiang Fan's gaze swept over, landing on Qin Wenyuan. This visage, was it not Huang Wenyuan? He didn't recognize that the person in front of him was the old man with disheveled hair in the cloud-floating cave. But, Qin Wenyuan immediately recognized Jiang Fan. Wasn't this the three-star soul master who had killed Xu Gangli with a single sword in the cloud-floating cave? No, it should be four-star soul master. His mouth trembled. You're Jiang Fan. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 76, Xu Yining's Request. He never dreamed. To avoid that four-star soul master, he decided to move his entire family out of Lonely Boat City, far away to other places. Before leaving, to salvage some dignity for his clan, he came to find Jiang Fan to demand a price. Who could have imagined? The Jiang Fan he came to trouble was actually that four-star soul master. This discovery made him feel as if he had stepped on empty air and fallen into a bottomless abyss. Boundless fear engulfed his heart. He was petrified on the spot. Qin Changsheng did not notice the old man's abnormality. He sneered arrogantly, "Old master of the Qin family, why aren't you kneeling yet?" This way the old man might consider showing mercy. Xu Zhengyan was also full of shame. He gritted his teeth slightly, then knelt in front of Qin Wenyuan with a thud and said, "Elder Qin. I kneel on behalf of Jiang Fan. Whatever you want to do to him next, I will bear it for him." No matter what, Jiang Fan fell into such trouble for the Qin family. How could he bear to let Jiang Fan alone face it? Qin Changsheng was furious, and he kicked him to the ground. "Xu Zhengyan, who the hell do you think you are? Who gave you the face to take punishment for Jiang Fan? Get lost. Today, no one can save this little bastard." Jiang Fan, seeing this, his eyes turned cold. He helped Xu Zhengyan up with one hand, and with a piercing gaze, he walked toward Qin Changsheng. The Qin family, they really went too far. Qin Changsheng wasn't angry but laughed. "Old man, look. Look at this. How arrogant and rampant this little bastard is. In front of you, he still wants to act violently. Please don't let him go, don't ever let." Slap. Suddenly, a black shadow flashed by, and Qin Changsheng received a solid slap in the face. He looked in the direction of the hand, his face bewildered. Old man. Why did you hit me? Shouldn't the one being hit be Jiang Fan?" But when he saw the old man's face, he swallowed hard. At this moment, the old man's eyebrows were bristling, his features twisted with anger, his eyes spouting furious flames. Then his mouth erupted with an unprecedented roar of rage. "Wretched creature. I, Qin Wenyuan, must have had 8 lifetimes full of bad luck to raise such a prodigal son like you." His whole body shook with anger, looking as if he would eat someone alive. Qin Changsheng, holding his fiery cheek, "Old man, what is wrong with you?" It wasn't just him who was bewildered. Xu Zhengyan and many members of the Xu family were also bewildered. Li Qingfeng likewise felt confused and puzzled. Next, wasn't Qin Wenyuan supposed to punish Jiang Fan severely to restore some dignity for his clan? Why did he suddenly slap Qin Changsheng? Seeing his aggrieved look, Qin Wenyuan got even angrier and slapped him to the ground again. Beast! You still have the nerve to feel wronged. I ask you, why did you break into the Xu family and smash things? Xu Zhengyan's heart jolted, and he immediately explained the cause and effect of the matter. After listening, Qin Wenyuan was even more furious. No wonder Jiang Fan wanted to support the Chen family and bring down the Qin family. You helped Lu Zheng to snatch his wife, that is an enmity that cannot be reconciled. And he dared to say he didn't offend anyone. I'll kill you, you unfilial son. Qin Wenyuan roared, raising his palm to slap him to death, to give an explanation to Jiang Fan. Xu Zhengyan was startled and said, Elder Qin, please show mercy. Although he didn't understand why Qin Wenyuan suddenly decided this way, if Qin Changsheng really died in the Xu family, it would invite public criticism. The Xu family still had to make a living in Lonely Boat City in the future. Qin Wenyuan forcibly restrained his anger and withdrew his hand, but he looked at Jiang Fan. Young Master Jiang, I have failed in my discipline, letting my son commit such an atrocious act. How you want to deal with him is up to you. Everyone in the hall was astonished. Qin Wenyuan actually asked Jiang Fan's opinion. Jiang Fan's eyes flickered, and seeing Qin Wenyuan's change of attitude, knew that he must have recognized his identity as a soul master. If so, it made sense. He glanced at Qin Changsheng, then at Xu Zhengyan's bleeding mouth and the footprint on his chest. He said indifferently, if it was offending me, I can overlook it. But, raising a hand against my Uncle Xu, I cannot forgive. Wherever he hit Uncle Xu, break that part of him. Qin Changsheng was so scared that his face turned pale, begging Qin Wenyuan for help. Old man, please don't listen to him. Li Qingfeng also frowned slightly. This boy was young, but his temperament was ruthless and decisive, quite suitable for the martial path. What a pity he had no spirit root. However, in Qin Wenyuan's eyes, this was benevolence from heaven and earth. He felt like he had been granted amnesty and without hesitation, broke the hand that had slapped Xu Zhengyan's face, and also broke the leg that had kicked Xu Zhengyan's chest. The continuous pain caused Qin Changsheng to scream a few times before he fainted on the spot. Qin Wenyuan looked cautiously at Jiang Fan. Seeing no change in his expression, he finally breathed a sigh of relief and quickly cupped his hands. In that case, I will take my leave. From today, our Qin family will leave Lonely Boat City. Farewell. He was telling Jiang Fan that the Qin family would completely leave Lonely Boat City. He asked for mercy. Jiang Fan gave a slight nod. Qin Wenyuan was completely at ease, leading the Qin family people away grandly. Leaving behind a hall full of puzzled people. They still didn't understand why the Qin family suddenly changed their attitude. And standing outside the door, witnessing the whole process, Xu Yining bit her lip. An outsider sees the situation clearly. She clearly noticed that Qin Wenyuan's attitude changed after recognizing Jiang Fan. Sister, why do I feel like Qin Wenyuan seems to fear Jiang Fan? Xu Yoren said in surprise, suspecting if it was his illusion. Xu Yining felt inexplicably irritable. No need for you to remind me. She took up her sword and ran away quickly. With the matter here resolved, Li Qingfeng also got up to leave. Before leaving, he said, Jiang Fan, the day after tomorrow I will be leaving this place, you have only one last day to prepare. He had been exploring around, looking for that person with the 9-grade spirit root. But it was like looking for a needle in a haystack, he couldn't find them. He could only return to the sect to report to Lu Qingxian. Jiang Fan felt a tension in his heart. The next day, before dawn, he rushed to the Dragon Rising path urgently. He went straight to the 12th floor and began a fierce battle with Nangong Luyun. After more than 100 rounds, Jiang Fan shouted, "Shocking dragon palm." He struck with his palm, powerful spiritual power bursting out, producing a sound similar to a dragon's roar. The spiritual power took the shape of a dragon, fiercely penetrating Nangong Luyun's projection. I lost. The projection cupped his hands and slowly dissipated, leaving a green jade key at the spot. Green Cloud Sect Medicine Garden Lower Key. Jiang Fan read out the letters on the key, his eyes showing a hint of brightness. Did it mean he could use this key to enter the medicine garden and pick herbs? Herbs personally grown by the Green Cloud Sect, how could they be ordinary? He carefully put the key away. He had no desire to challenge the 13th floor. He turned and prepared to leave, only to find that at some point Xu Yining had appeared on the 9th floor again. Tears flowed down her face as she immersed herself in slashing. When she failed and withdrew, she noticed the number 1 shadow guard present. She hurriedly wiped the tears away in embarrassment. "What is this about?" Jiang Fan asked, bewildered. This person, who was more arrogant than a peacock, actually cried. Xu Yining didn't answer, and Jiang Fan, not wanting to ask further, took her into the projection and thoroughly taught her the movement technique of the first layer. However, her comprehension was eventually a bit inferior to Jiang Fan's. So her movement technique, when executed, wasn't half as effective as Jiang Fan's. But this already made Xu Yining extremely happy. "Alright, our interaction ends here." After teaching these, Jiang Fan considered it a closure of a matter of concern. There shouldn't be any further contact with Xu Yining in the future. "Wait." Xu Yining stopped him, hesitated for a long time, then with a red face said, "Can you do me a favor? I want to ask you to pretend to be my lover." Jiang Fan flatly refused. Absurd. Xu Yining wasn't surprised, bowed her head, and said, "Just once. There is someone I hate, he has almost become my heart's demon. I just want to prove in front of him that my original decision wasn't wrong." Seeing Jiang Fan still unmoved, she knelt down, pleading, "I'm begging you." Jiang Fan quickly helped her up. "This annoying person, couldn't it be me?" Chapter 77 Jiang Family's Provocation. But looking at Xu Yining's tearful eyes, thinking again, since he had taken her chance, he scratched his head and reluctantly agreed. "Fine, just on the surface, you can't really cross the line." Xu Yining's face lit up with joy, nodding heavily. She secretly clenched her fists, gritting her teeth. "Jiang Fan. Do you think now that you've become excellent, I will regret it? Let me tell you, I won't. My destined one is like number 1 shadow guard, someone you will look up to for a lifetime." After that, the two of them agreed on a time and then parted ways. Jiang Fan passed by the Chen mansion and unexpectedly found several luxurious carriages parked at the entrance. On the curtain, there were the patterns of Biliu City, also embroidered with the character, Zhang. He remembered the harsh words Zhang Qizhan left behind yesterday before he left. He couldn't help frowning, stepping into the Chen mansion. "Chen family living room. Your Chen family bullies too much. My son is such a talented person, yet your Chen family treated him worse than waste." A middle-aged man with a square face, full of dignity, clapped the table and shouted. The teacups on the tea table were overturned and shattered on the ground. Lu Qimin shrunk her neck, hiding behind Chen Yuqiu, not daring to say a word. The person in front of her is the Zhang family master, Zhang Liangpeng. He was the head of one of the leading families in Biliu City. He rushed to the Chen family overnight to seek justice for his son. HMPH. Chen Yuqiu retorted with a stern face, "It's our Chen family's business who my daughter marries, whether as a wife or a concubine. Your son's conduct is indecent, I disagree with the marriage, and you still want to force it. Coming to my Chen family, clapping the table and smashing teacups, who exactly is bullying too much?" He was equally imposing. This made Zhang Liangpeng restrain himself a bit, gritting his teeth. "I don't care. I only know that your Chen family would rather marry your daughter to a waste as a concubine than agree to my Zhang family's young master. This is an insult to my Zhang family." Upon hearing this, Chen Yuqiu snorted coldly, disdainfully saying, "Always calling him waste. In my opinion, your son can't compare to even a single toe of Jiang Fan. Competing with Jiang Fan for a woman, does your son deserve it?" This blunt evaluation made Zhang Qizhan, who was also present, burn with rage. He roared, "You say I'm not even as good as waste? My Zhang family is a prestigious family in Biliu City, what about Jiang Fan? I am an inner sect disciple of the Green Cloud sect, what about Jiang Fan? I am powerful, what about Jiang Fan? Comparing him to me is an insult to me, saying I'm inferior to him is an insult to my Zhang family." When Chen Yuqiu was about to say something, he noticed Jiang Fan with his hands behind his back, leisurely approaching. His eyes lit up, and a broad smile immediately appeared on his face. "Young Master Jiang, no, son-in-law, what brings you here?" Lu Qimin also immediately showed a face full of joy, smiling as she greeted him, holding his hand. Why didn't you let the servants know you were coming? Quick, have a seat, have a seat. Go, quickly get the good tea from the master's study. She sat Jiang Fan down. That gaze was even more amicable than toward her own son. Chen Silan's gloomy expression turned rosy upon Jiang Fan's arrival, sitting shyly beside him. She bashfully picked up a spirit fruit and handed it to Jiang Fan. Here, this is for you. When Jiang Qijian and his father arrived, the three members of the Chen family didn't give them any good faces. But as soon as Jiang Fan arrived, the three of them showed this extremely welcoming attitude. The stark contrast made Jiang Qijian unable to accept it, trembling with anger. Jiang Fan, what on earth did Jiang Fan give you? He didn't understand, he really couldn't understand. A waste whose fate of entering the Green Cloud sect was in his hands. Why was he being treated so grandly by the Chen family? Zhang Liangpeng, also stimulated by the sharp contrast, laughed angrily. Originally, after the marriage alliance between our families, if your daughter performed well, a year later, I could consider using my connections to get her into the Green Cloud sect as an outer sect disciple. Do you know what that means? It means your daughter will leap over the Dragon Gate, no longer ordinary, and your Chen family will rise to glory, becoming illustrious ever after. But all of this, destroyed by your ignorance. Jiang Fan's ears were buzzing from the father and son. He dug his ears, picked up a pen, and wrote on a piece of paper, show you what I gave the Chen family, and you will shut up, right? Jiang Qijian crossed his arms, sneering, a spineless trash as a son-in-law, what can he give? Nothing but worthless garbage. Jiang Fan said no more. He picked up the pen and said to Chen Silan, does the Chen family have a magic artifact for detecting spirit roots? Show it to the Zhang family father and son and shut them up. Chen Silan hesitated. Such an artifact, the Chen family naturally has, but detecting my spirit root. She had no remarkable spirit root at all. Frankly speaking, it was only a first-grade spirit root, not even as good as Xu Yinin's. Otherwise, she wouldn't have focused on business ventures. On the martial path, her talent was really poor. Detecting her spirit root would be a public embarrassment, wouldn't it? Chen Yuqiu reminded, son-in-law, Silan's spirit root is not very excellent. Testing it in front of the Zhang family father and son, wouldn't it be humiliating? Jiang Fan calmly said, never mind, just test it. This. Chen Yuqiu and Chen Silan exchanged a glance. They were utterly confused by Jiang Fan's intention. But unable to resist Jiang Fan's request, Chen Silan could only brace herself, picking up a crude magic artifact for detection. She embarrassedly infused her pitifully weak spiritual power into it. Soon, the center of the artifact projected a beam of light, which condensed into a line of words above the disc. Jiang Qijian sneered, I don't know what this waste wants to show me. To see how low Chen Silan's spirit root is. The last, word he couldn't say out loud. His eyes gradually widened in shock, his face horrified as if seeing a ghost. Zhang Liangpeng was also greatly shocked. 6th grade spirit root. How could this be? Chen Silan was clearly a 1st grade spirit root. How could it suddenly become a 6th grade spirit root? Chen Yuqiu, Chen Silan, and Lu Qimin were all astonished on the spot. Chen Silan couldn't believe it and tested again. The result, still 6th grade spirit root. Father, do I have a 6th grade spirit root? Just like Xu Yining, the top prodigy of Lonely Boat City. Chen Yuqiu's beard quivered with excitement. Is this the ancestors showing their spirit? Lu Qimin was so happy that tears streamed down. Heaven has eyes, our Chen family now has a martial path prodigy. Faced with their shock, Jiang Fan merely smiled faintly, picking up the pen. Now, do you know what I gave Chen Silan? Seeing this note, everyone looked at Jiang Fan in astonishment. Jiang Qijian refused to accept it, speaking as if it was your doing to change her aptitude. If you were that powerful, why don't you have a spirit root yourself? But, the three members of the Chen family immediately reacted. What ancestors showing their spirit, what heaven has eyes? It was clearly Jiang Fan's help. Chen Silan suddenly remembered the pill in the jade box Jiang Fan gave her yesterday, and he specifically told her to consume it. Was it that pill from yesterday? Chapter 78. Zhang family's assistant. Jiang Fan slightly nodded. Otherwise, would spirit roots grow on their own like chives? This confirmed that the pill truly belonged to Jiang Fan. Chen Silin was so moved her eyes reddened. Why are you so kind to me? A pill that could change spirit roots, without thinking, one could tell it was an existence that could defy the heavens and alter fate. Its value was immeasurable. No amount of money could buy it. She and Jiang Fan hadn't even had an intimate relationship, yet he just gave it to her. Jiang Fan picked up the writing brush and said, "Since you and I have a formal status together, isn't it reasonable to give it to you? But I am just a concubine." Feeling Jiang Fan's deep regard for her, Chen Silin was even more touched. She threw herself into his arms and said, "Thank you, Jiang Fan. In this life, Silin will never forget your kindness and will be loyal to you alone." A man who could change her fate. No matter how she repaid him, it wouldn't be excessive. Feeling the soft warmth in his arms, Jiang Fan's face reddened, and he was at a loss for what to do. Chen Yuqiu, however, was overjoyed, glancing at the ugly faces of Zhang Liangpeng and his son. "What now? Are you convinced yet? One more year, if she performs well, I might consider helping my daughter become an outer sect disciple of the Green Cloud sect. Sorry, you Zhang family can keep this so-called opportunity for yourselves. With Jiang Fan here, my daughter can directly enter the inner sect of the Green Cloud sect." After spitting out these words, the stifling breath in Chen Yuqiu's chest finally dissipated. But it left Zhang Liangpeng humiliated beyond measure. He clenched his fists tightly, his eyes glaring with rage. "Chen Yuqiu, you repeatedly insult my Zhang family, do you really think I can't do anything to you?" Just at that moment, the sound of a galloping horse rushed directly into the mansion. A graceful figure dismounted swiftly. It was Yi Qingshe. Seeing there were no signs of fighting in the hall, she breathed a sigh of relief. "Fortunately, I arrived in time," Yi Qingshe said. Zhang Liangpeng said, "Niece, you came at just the right time. This Chen family is simply lawless, not putting your uncle's family in their eyes at all." "What? The city lord's Yi family and Zhang family had such a hidden relationship?" Zhang Qijian sneered, "Did you think my family and theirs are cousins? Otherwise, why do you think my master brought me here to Lonely Boat City instead of bringing other disciples? Of course, it's because of my identity, making it easier to act in Lonely Boat City." Yi Qingshe furrowed her brows slightly and said, "Uncle, is there some misunderstanding between you and the Chen family master?" Although she was young, she understood great principles well. She didn't choose to take sides just because of her uncle's words. Zhang Liangpeng said, "Misunderstanding. That old fellow Chen Yuqiu would rather marry his daughter to a useless wastrel as a concubine than to my son. Isn't that an insult? I came to seek an explanation, but he continued to insult me with that wastrel." Wastrel? Yi Qingshe looked puzzled. Even though the Chen family had been a prominent family for generations, why would they marry their only daughter to someone as a concubine? She raised her eyes to see. She saw Chen Silin sitting in someone's arms, just enough to block his face. She couldn't help but mumble, in broad daylight, not even avoiding public eyes. She looked at Chen Yuqiu, clasped her hands, and said, "Uncle Chen, what do you say?" No matter how prominent the Chen family might be, they were one of the top-ranked prominent families in Lonely Boat City. Recently, they were rising rapidly, with a strong momentum. They were expected to become one of the top families. The city lord mansion still had to show the respect it deserved. Chen Yuqiu snorted, "I have nothing more to say, just one sentence. It is none of your business whom the Chen family marries their daughters to." This, indeed. Why should you care whom the Chen family marries their daughter to? Even if she married a beggar on the roadside, it would still be the Chen family's freedom. If she didn't marry into the Zhang family, does that mean she's insulting the Zhang family? The uncle coming specifically to demand reparation for this was rather overbearing. Most likely it was to vent Zhang Qijian's anger. Yi Qingshe glanced at Zhang Qijian with a trace of disgust. Not winning the heart of a woman and then calling for adults to intervene, really had some nerve. However, she couldn't disregard her uncle's pride either. She had to mildly rebuke, "Chen family master, my uncle's family has been a prestigious family for generations, with honor above all. When arranging your daughter's marriage, you should indeed consider the Zhang family's feelings. If the person your daughter married was truly too inferior, you should leave the Jiang family some leeway. This mild rebuke was to give her uncle some face. Then both sides would put the matter to rest. This was the best way to handle it. Chen Yuqiu snorted and chose not to respond further. He also caught onto Yi Qingshui's intentions. If the matter could end like this, it wouldn't matter even if Yi Qingshui rebuked him. Only, Jiang Fan wasn't pleased with this. He gently patted Chen Silan's shoulder, and she shyly stood up with a blushing face. Revealing Jiang Fan's face, he picked up the writing brush and wrote, "Miss Yi, is it truly such a grievance for Silan to marry me?" Yi Qingshui was astonished to see Jiang Fan's true face. In surprise, she said, "Jiang Fan. Is it you? You took Chen Silan as a concubine." She almost couldn't believe her eyes. Does Xu Yining know about this? Jiang Fan's mouth twitched slightly as he wrote, "It was her decision." This. Yi Qingshui was stunned, momentarily speechless. She could only sigh, realizing that Xu Yining was indeed generous. Before they even married officially, she had already helped Jiang Fan take a concubine. Then, she realized she had said something inappropriate and exclaimed, "So you are the son-in-law of the Chen family?" Well, that explains it. Jiang Fan was famously #1 shadow guard, not only highly skilled but also of significant status. In this regard, Zhang Qizhan could never compare. She couldn't help but smile wryly. "Uncle, Chen family marrying their daughter to Jiang Fan as a concubine is not an insult to you. I speak the truth, cousin's martial potential is indeed inferior to Jiang Fan's. His loss is not without reason." What? This infuriated Zhang Qizhan, causing his eyebrows to raise angrily. "Cousin, are your eyes malfunctioning? How am I inferior to him?" Yi Qingshui nodded. "Cousin, my judgment of people is still accurate. You are indeed not as good as Jiang Fan." Zhang Liangpeng, enraged, said, "Why are you speaking for an outsider? Did you also receive a spirit root enhancing pill from this young man?" He had called Yi Qingshui to support him and his son. Yet, she turned the tables, insisting his son was inferior to Jiang Fan. A pill that enhances spirit root. Yi Qingshui looked bewildered. Were there such heaven-defying spirit pills in the world? Chen Silan, in defense of Jiang Fan, took up the testing magic artifact with a cheerful smile. "Miss Yi, look." As the light projected into the air, Yi Qingshui's beautiful eyes widened in shock. 6th grade spirit root. Before this, the only 6th grade spirit root in Lonely Boat City was Xu Yining's, the highest in the city. Now, Chen Silan also tested as a 6th grade spirit root. No, if she had such a spirit root, it would have been known by everyone long ago. Wait. A pill that enhances spirit root. Her eyes shot towards Jiang Fan, her gaze filled with desire as she lightly swallowed. Chapter 79, The City Lord Arrives. Jiang Fan shook his head without hesitation and wrote, "Don't overthink it, there are only 2 pills. One was given to Yining, and one was given to Siling." Upon hearing this, Yi Qingshui was greatly disappointed. Being able to turn 2 people with inferior spirit roots into celestial prodigies. If she got one, wouldn't she have a chance to become an 8th grade, or even the legendary 9th grade? She hurriedly concealed her lapse, clearing her throat and said, "You misunderstood, I asked on behalf of my friend. By the way, this friend is Xu Yining." "Yes, it's Xu Yining." Thinking of her, Yi Qingshui again felt a pang of sorrow for Xu Yining. Yining, do you know what a ridiculous choice you made? Not to mention the past, this kind of destiny-changing immortal pill originally could have belonged to Xu Yining. Her potential would have skyrocketed, becoming a unique existence in the world. But now, it has benefited Xu Yining and her good sister instead. Unfortunately, it's too late for regrets. When she looked up at Zhang Qizhan again, she said speechlessly, "Cousin, just based on this, how can you compete with Jiang Fan? When I said you were no match for him, it's not without reason." However, how could Zhang Qizhan admit it? He clenched his fists and shouted, "Cousin, you must be blind. There's no such thing as a spirit pill that can enhance spirit roots. Obviously, Chen Silan has a 6th grade spirit root herself." Zhang Liangpeng also disregarded the truth and said angrily, "Qingshui, you have disappointed your uncle greatly. To help an outsider, you even disregarded your uncle's dignity. Fortunately, I didn't expect anything from you, I already notified your father." Chen Yuchou's expression shifted. Chen Silin's presence didn't matter much, as she was merely the daughter of the city lord's mansion and did not represent it. Moreover, Yi Qingshe was always known for her sense and judgment. But Yi Jiafeng was different. He was a city lord, with the authority to decide if the Chen family could continue to stay in the city. What made Chen Yuchou even more uneasy was, as the head of the Yi family, Yi Jiafeng would certainly prioritize benefits, not fairness or injustice. For the Yi family, maintaining kinship with the Jiang family was of the greatest benefit. One could imagine what the situation would be like once Yi Jiafeng arrived. Yi Qingshe couldn't help but get angry. You called my father here over this. She was also worried for the Chen family, and even more so for Jiang Fan. The identity of the number 1 shadow guard was crucial in her eyes. But it might not be for her father, the city lord. Zhang Liangpeng reprimanded. If you had any sense, would I have needed to call your father? Besides, it's not just the Chen family, your father needs to teach you how to behave. Such a grown person, yet so clueless. HMPH. Clop clop. A series of rapid hoofbeats approached. Yi Jiafeng, surrounded by the guard captain and several guards, stormed into the Chen family with great momentum. How could Chen Yuchou dare to neglect? He immediately stepped forward to greet. Chen Yuchou welcomes the city lord. Yi Jiafeng glanced at him, with his hands behind his back, standing firmly in the hall's center, exuding a deep sense of oppression. I can't bear such courtesy from the Chen family master. Chen Yuchou felt a bitter taste in his mouth and quickly said, City lord, please let me report the details. Who knew? Yi Jiafeng didn't listen at all. He waved his hand and snorted. I already know, no need for you to repeat it. He was openly supporting the Jiang family. Yi Qingshe couldn't stand it and said, Father, things are not as uncle said. Actually, cousin was not as skilled as others and couldn't accept his loss. Please don't get involved, lest we embarrass the city lord's mansion. Yi Jiafeng snorted heavily and shouted, Shut up and stand aside. He sighed silently in his heart. How could he not know the Jiang family's character? They were notorious troublemakers in Biliu City. However, his daughter was still young. As a major family, justice was not the priority. It was the core interest of the family. So, even if he knew the Chen family was wrong, he had to support the Jiang family. Chen Yuchou, you insulted the Jiang family, and you must account for this. Yi Jiafeng unreasonable and overbearing, I give you 2 choices. First, the Chen family leaves Lonely Boat City. Second, marry your daughter Chen Silin to the Jiang family. Choose one, and this matter will be settled, otherwise, you should understand the means of the city lord's mansion. Chen Yuchou's expression was extremely unsightly. With the means of the city lord's mansion, they could easily bring the Chen family to ruin. Lu Qimin's face also turned pale. However, the couple didn't despair. The Chen family had finally had good luck, aligning themselves with a 3-star soul master. Would they give up this immense opportunity? Dream on. As for leaving Lonely Boat City, so be it. With the backing of a 3-star soul master, the Chen family's future status couldn't be confined to a small lonely boat city. If they didn't move now, they'd move later anyway. So, with almost no hesitation, Chen Yuchou decisively said, Thank you, City Lord, for allowing us. Our Chen family will leave Lonely Boat City overnight. As for marrying my daughter to the Jiang family, forgive my bluntness. They are unworthy. My daughter will only marry Jiang Fan in this life. Even if she's a concubine, she won't deign to be the main wife of the Jiang family. This bold and decisive attitude directly made the Jiang family father and son stomp in anger. They called the city lord to suppress the Chen family heavily, but it backfired, and the Chen family, for some reason, showed such a hard spine. Rather move the whole family than bow down. This also put Yi Jiafeng in a tough spot. The Lonely Boat City's 2 alchemy families, the Qin family had already left. If the Chen family also left, who would provide the pills in the future? But asking them to stay would be a huge loss of face. Just at this moment, Jiang Fan picked up a note to comfort Chen Yuchou. Moving to a bigger city is better anyway. Lonely Boat City is too small. Since the Chen family had a marriage alliance with him, he would naturally provide more support in the future. All kinds of high-tier pills would be given to the Chen family to sell. The demand for high-tier pills in Lonely Boat City was obviously less than in big cities. Yi Jiafeng, who was already in a dilemma, saw Jiang Fan speak up and immediately aimed his anger at him, snorting heavily, "Are you Jiang Fan? The one causing trouble? Take him. Interrogate him properly on why he's causing trouble and sabotaging the marriage alliance of two major families." By capturing Jiang Fan, he could appease the Zhang family's anger and prevent the Chen family from acting recklessly. Two birds with one stone. The guard captain beside him immediately drew his mysterious iron blade and walked towards Jiang Fan with big steps. Without even looking closely, he grabbed his shoulder. "Boy, kneel down and submit." Jiang Fan was no longer his past self. With Foundation Establishment third layer, he could ignore such authority. He shook his body slightly, and the sheer force of his spiritual power knocked the guard captain back. The guard captain glared at him angrily. "You have the guts to defy." As he got a closer look at Jiang Fan's face, his eyes widened. From the moment he entered, he found Jiang Fan's face familiar. Taking a closer look, he suddenly remembered who he was. Wasn't this the one, who, after killing members of the Blood Bat Palace, came to the City Lord Mansion's spirit pond to cultivate for a 2-hour with a 9th-grade spiritual root? Lu Qingxian had searched the city for him multiple times. Before leaving, she had specifically instructed the City Lord Mansion to keep a close watch on the movements of the person with the 9th-grade spiritual root, and if found, to report to the Yi family for great merit. Because of this, the City Lord had mobilized all the city's soldiers, searching everywhere. But it was like finding a needle in a haystack, and they never found him. Little did he know, this 9th-grade spiritual root was right in front of him. Chapter 80. Dad. You are so strange. The guard captain stood still in shock. Yi Jiafeng's face darkened. What, are you scared out of your wits? Can't even catch a person. The guard captain was in immense shock. Still unable to snap out of it, Yi Jiafeng got angry, strode over, and pushed the guard captain aside. Useless waste. He personally reached out to grab Jiang Fan. The guard captain finally snapped out of it and, seeing Yi Jiafeng's rough actions, was scared out of his wits. This was the 9th-grade spiritual root Lu Qingxian had been desperately searching for. If even a hair was harmed, Lu Qingxian wouldn't spare Yi Jiafeng, nor the Yi family. He hurriedly grabbed Yi Jiafeng's arm, holding him back, and urgently cried, "City Lord, no, he is." Just as he was about to reveal it, he realized the identity of the 9th-grade spiritual root was a top secret and must not be leaked. Yi Jiafeng was furious. He slapped the guard captain so hard he flew to the ground, shouting, "What's gotten into you today? Taken the wrong medicine." Blood appeared at the corner of the guard captain's mouth. But he didn't care about the pain, hurriedly got up, ran to him, and whispered, "City Lord, he is the boy who took the Blood Bat Palace reward that day." Yi Jiafeng frowned. "What Blood Bat Palace reward? Wait." Hiss. He suddenly took a sharp breath, shocked. "Are you saying he is that 9? Realizing he almost exposed the secret, he quickly shut his mouth, lowered his voice and, with a slight tremor, asked, "Are you sure you didn't mistake him for someone else?" The guard captain said, "If I am wrong, City Lord, you can gouge out my eyes." It really was him. Yi Jiafeng was overjoyed. This was the person Lu Qingxian had been looking for. Before she left, she had instructed Yi Jiafeng to find the 9th-grade spiritual root at all costs. If found, the Yi family would get a spot for an inner sect disciple of the Green Cloud sect. When he looked at Jiang Fan again, there was no trace of his previous ferocity. His rough hands rubbed together as he smiled. "Young Master Jiang, you are truly talented. I have long admired you. Today, seeing you in person, your reputation is really well deserved." The hall fell into sudden silence. The guard captain's eyes were wide open. He had always thought that flattering was his strong suit. But seeing the city lord's change of face, he realized he still had much to learn. Yi Qingshui's beautiful eyes also widened, her head full of questions. Seeing her usually dignified and stern father suddenly flatter someone, she couldn't help but murmur. "Father, you feel so strange to me." Zhang Liangpeng and Zhang Qijian's father and son, their mocking expressions suddenly froze. Staring unblinkingly at the sudden shift in the atmosphere, Chen Yuqiu and Lu Qimin exchanged a look, finding it absurd. Why did the city lord's fierce attitude suddenly make such a dramatic turn? Even Jiang Fan, the person involved, couldn't help but touch his nose, wondering if the city lord had some split personality. City lord, what is this? Yi Jiafeng didn't feel awkward at all, clasping his hands. It was all a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. Since you married the Chen family's daughter as a concubine, then it's nothing. As he spoke, he felt around his pockets. After much difficulty, he finally pulled out a jade pendant he always carried. He shoved it into Chen Silan's hand, extremely polite, sighing, "Uncle came in a rush and didn't bring anything good. Take this jade pendant as a gift from uncle." Ah! Yi Qingshe opened her mouth wide. This was not just an ordinary jade pendant but the city lord's jade talisman. Ordinary people or soldiers, upon seeing this jade talisman, it was as if they were seeing the city lord. Normally, even she was scolded by her father for just wanting to touch it. He was actually giving it directly to Chen Silan. Chen Silan also recognized the significance of the jade pendant, scared and quickly refused. "City lord, I cannot accept it. How can I take this?" Yi Jiafeng's face stern, displeased. "I and your father are like brothers, so you are half my daughter. What can't you take? I told you to take it, so take it," he said, shoving it unceremoniously into her palm. Chen Yuqiu was dumbfounded. "Who is like brothers with you? We don't even know each other that well usually." However, seeing the city lord stand on his side, he reluctantly agreed, sighing, "Just accept it. Don't take it out or lose it." Chen Silan reluctantly accepted. "Thank you, city lord." "What city lord? Call me foster father. From today on, I will take you as my goddaughter." Yi Jiafeng wanted to climb the ranks, saying, "Whoever bullies you and the Chen family from now on, is going against my Yi family." Foster father. Chen Yuqiu rolled his eyes. "You really know how to take advantage of the situation." Jiang Fan was a 3-star soul master. Even having a slight connection with him in the future would ensure prosperity. Considering Jiang Fan had not yet grown up, having a powerful ally wasn't bad. He nodded, sighing, "The city lord is taking you as his goddaughter, shouldn't you give him thanks?" "Ah." Chen Silan, confused, knelt and bowed, sighing greets foster father. Yi Jiafeng was delighted, helping her up. "Good, good. From now on, we are one family." Seeing Yi Jiafeng's affection towards Chen Silan, Yi Qingshe suddenly felt like a stranger, with a sudden feeling of losing her family. Why was this happening? Even if her father discovered Jiang Fan's biggest secret, the #1 shadow guard, it shouldn't have prompted giving away the jade talisman or taking her as a goddaughter, right? Could it be that the #1 shadow guard was just one of Jiang Fan's secrets? And there were secrets they didn't know about. She couldn't help but look at Jiang Fan, suspicious. "Jiang Fan, are you hiding something from me?" This startled both Yi Jiafeng and Chen Yuqiu. Yi Jiafeng thought, could the identity of the 9th grade spiritual root be revealed? Chen Yuqiu thought, could the identity of the 3-star soul master be exposed? Both glared at Yi Qingshe, scaring her into silence, not daring to ask further. Seeing Yi Jiafeng getting along harmoniously with the Chen family, becoming a family, Zhang Liangpeng couldn't believe his eyes. "Big brother Yi, how can you help outsiders?" Yi Jiafeng then realized the Zhang family was still there. He impatiently waved, "Didn't you hear? The Chen family and my Yi family are one family now, you better return to Biliu City. Do not cause trouble at the Chen family, disturbing their peace." Zhang Liangpeng was furious. "What do you mean? The Chen family bullied us, and you call it causing trouble? Do you still consider us relatives?" Yi Jiafeng looked at Jiang Fan and then at Zhang Qijian. One was a 9th grade spiritual root, the other was only a 4th grade spiritual root. And their conflicts were nearly irreconcilable. Given that, was there any need to choose? What if we're not relatives? Yi Jiafeng said without hesitation, "From now on, the Yi family and the Zhang family have no relations. Do as you please. But don't cause trouble in Lonely Boat City, or you and your son won't leave easily." This made Zhang Qijian furious. "Fine, fine. Do all of you see Jiang Fan as a treasure? Tomorrow I'll let you see how I beat him like a dog, too disgraceful to even enter the Green Cloud sect." He roared in anger and left. Zhang Liangpeng also gritted his teeth. Yi Jiafeng, I'll see how your favorite Jiang Fan embarrasses himself tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.